Hello, everyone. Welcome to another GG Millions. We got a very special guest and a very special show with the biggest names, big prizes. Lynne joins us today. Hello, it's Lynne on Twitter. Lynne, how are you?
Good, I'm doing well. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I appreciate it. I know you just did some commentary. You've been playing high stakes cash, and you were mentioning you're not like a regular tournament player, but you play some of the biggest games in the world, and definitely know your way around the poker table. So we'll be talking some strategy. Love to hear some spots, what you're thinking, and we'll get to know some of the players today. I don't imagine you play with a lot of them, right? Because these are tournament online players mostly, or tournament players that you haven't played with, but we'll have fun, and we're gonna get to see again some big names in the game competing for a huge prize today. And Lynne, are you playing anything in terms of, do you have any tournaments on your schedule coming up, or are you strictly cash?
Strictly Cash. I play the main event every year. It's the 10K donation that I give the poker community. And then usually I play the Win WPT as well.
I love it. Well, we can see today 323 up top, 9 of 149 remain. Some very big money to play for as usual. And again, some of the bigger names, we're going to need to talk about that today, as well as a look at the chip stacks. And this guy, Daniel Smilovic, who is 142 big blinds, pretty crazy lead, more than double second place right now, and a couple of short stacks. Juan Pardo Dominguez, world-class player. Bert Stevens, may have heard of him, draft ganger on Twitch, absolute legends. Been on my podcast. He also just happened to win the main event while streaming on Twitch for like 4 or 7 million from a 5K buy-in. So pretty exciting. Kanapeng there as well, but a really well-known player. Matthew is a former GG Million champion, and Rico Cam Alzi is also a ridiculously fun player to watch. Samuel Vuston, maybe didn't mention him yet. He also is regarded maybe the best online poker player of all time, right in that class with Nicholas Ostedt and a few others that could come to mind. So again, we have a lot to talk about today. A lot of interesting players. Should be a lot of fun, and we will pick up the action here with a king queen suited. So we see a raise, not all in, a little bit short stack, nice looking hand, 9-handed at the moment, and this will maybe get through, but Bert Stevens has a king 10 closing action. What do you think here, Lynne? What's your instinct say when you're short stack king 10 off in the big blind? Kind of a tough spot.
Yeah, versus a low jack open, my instinct is to just call. A lot of better hands uh, call a jam and
Yeah.
force hit.
Yeah, makes sense. Jamming for sure would be a little bit out of line. I think folding is maybe a little too tight, and then you are going to get some spots that aren't great, like a king high, for example, would have maybe been GG, but he does just check fold. And red or black, you up for that, to do a little draft? We can draft the players, see who wins, and we'll go for a dinner. We'll do a wager.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of red or black, and I always take red. So I'll
Well,
stick.
you get it. You get to choose. That is the choice. Red it is. And then if you win, though, just so you know, you can either take first pick or second and third, and then we alternate. So that's what you're flipping for that choice. Want to welcome everyone at home. Thank you for watching. If you aren't familiar with Lynne, please give her a follow. I just put out the tweet, I believe. There it is. Hello, it's Lynne on Twitter, and that is a giveaway as well. $50 cash for you guys at home. You guys can take part in that. Hit the retweet, Lynne. I hope you do as well. Let your viewers know you're on and live, and we will then give that at the end. And we are going to pick, again, 50 or 100 GG ticket, depending on which one of the players win today. One of Lynne's picks or mine will be 100 if one of mine win. And we got to see that flop first so we can get the draft going here. Tell me about the high stakes cash scene, and you're playing some of these. I think you're on Bally's or Commerce. You've done some high stakes shows. How is that to play high stakes cash on TV? Is it exciting, or is it a little nerve wracking?
Yeah, so I think when I first showed up, I found everything like pretty nerve-wracking, a lot more self-conscious both about my play and like appearance and whatnot. At this point, I've been playing, high stakes cash games streams since I was 21. Actually played one underage. So I feel very much so at home, especially at Commerce, where it's like the same crew from Live at the Bike, and I've played a bunch of hours at the Commerce, and at this point, I just about know everyone. So it's just a very comfortable environment at this point.
That's awesome. Yeah, the tournament scene is fun. I mean, there's nothing quite like getting chips in a tournament, like the main, as you mentioned, you play, but also high stakes cash, getting to play and splash around and win some big pots. It's like you're winning potentially first place in certain tournament money on a hand or a session is also a little more reasonable for scheduling, right? You get to get in, get out. There's plus and minuses on both. I'm mixed. I've always been like down the middle. I love cash. I love tournaments, and it's just the game is fun, right? Whatever it is you play, poker's great. So we are. Ooh, I think we're going to see a flop here, right? Kings are going to play. 9-10 suited, not going to fold, closing the action. So I think we got a flop. First sweat of the day, red or black. And looks like a lot of black cards kind of out, more black than red out. Let's see what happens here. Imagine this will just go call. I can't see any other version. And it is red. So, all right, you win. Lynne off to a good start. You get to choose first or second and third.
I will choose first.
Feels right on this type of stack distribution. I like your decision, and I guess I got to ask, yeah, who are you going with?
Yeah, I'll take the chip lead.
Okay, chip lead. That's a big lead. That's a nice start for you. I will take. Oh man. Yeah, I guess I mean I'll go chips. Matthew, former GGMillion champion, 1.8, and a little bit of a wild card. This player, Baba K. I'm trying to see. He doesn't. I mean, he does have actually, yeah, I got to go with him. He's got 4 million plus in GGMillion earning or GG earnings. So he knows how to play the game. I'll take the chips, those two, and then you get to pick next.
Let's go with I'll actually take Bert Stevens. I think momentum is on his side. And
Wow.
Canna tent.
Wow. Well, first of all, this is a crazy river. Let's stop for a second here. Kings just got absolutely binked on. I mean, the super nuts straight on a 4-liner, not too many fives, and Rico's going to have here though. So, and diamonds unlikely as the action. Well, let's see what he goes for sizing here. At the same time, he could just have ace high. So this is always interesting to see what players do. I think these top tournament players, they seem to know what their opponent has, right? So it's like, all right, if he has ace high, what can I get called by? Or do I go greedy in case he somehow has ace five suited, right? Like what sizing do I go and why? And let's see what our friend goes with here. So he does elect to think his opponent doesn't have much, and Kings got a call for that price, and Rico gets the bad news. Pretty unfortunate river, and I will then take the next pick. I wanted Bert badly, but you really paid up for him. You could have maybe caught him later. You just assured you got that WSOP main event champion in your Rolodex there. So okay, I like that pick. I'm gonna go with Samuel. The fact that he's available, you know, he's not the next most chips, but great player, great pedigree. We'll take Samuel. Who do you got?
Let's see. So yeah, I'll take Cannabong tent. Are we so I picked first, you then go second, third, and then we switch off every one.
Yes.
Is that right?
And then we're alternating down.
Yeah.
So I think what is there still? I think there's a couple left. Valdemir is
Yeah, Mr. Palomar's left, Huang Dominguez.
Elliot Hudson. Is he in there? Where's he at? Elliot. Or did he get it says on my notes, trying to see. I'm gonna go, yeah, I'll go with Valdemir there. I think he's also been pretty experienced player. He's from Ukraine. He had 15 cashes this season, and he has 4 final tables. Yeah, I'll go Valdemir.
Okay, I'll take Enrico.
Beautiful. And then I think Juan Pardo, we'll throw him as a bonus. I think so we each have 4. He's actually a world-class player, short stacked. We'll put that as a push, and we will go from there. As we see King Queen and tens, King Queen suited does take the lead, has top pair, and is in position, and is going to go for a healthy bet. Matthew doesn't make much out of that, just decides to get out of the way and full. Good luck at home. Again, if one of Lynne's players win, it'll be 50. If one of my players win, it's 100. The tweet is out. I'll drop that in the chat as well for you guys a chance to win $50. Can get that out. And yeah, let's see who. Man, it's gonna be hard. Smilovich with one. Well, that is a ridiculous lead for a final table. Maybe the biggest lead we've seen at this GGMillion with this short stacks. And then he's got double second place. So really good position he's found himself in, as he is going to be hard to take down. I think. Again, no Brazilians today. Austria, I think, has been at every single final table ever. In GGMillion, maybe but one. Brazil usually represented. We don't see there today. Finland with 2 flags today. And I think, yeah, Bert Stevens is definitely, he is our second shortest stack. That was a wild call. I like, you really just, you were impressed by that main event win. I like that. Like, that was, you really went, like, grabbed him. I love that. I wanted him. He's like, you knew I wanted him. I was like, I'll get him. I'll pay up, but not that much. You just kind of took it out of my That hurts. That hurts. I didn't get to. I really wanted to see him. I can't root for him right now, but he is streaming on Twitch again. Draftganger7, legend of the game. And do you know about him? Are you familiar with this player? Do you have any? Have you heard of him?
Just learned about him today. But yeah, I feel like I've seen a few people go on heaters.
Well, he's just a personality. Like he literally
Mhm.
is on a farm in Belgium, and then I think maybe some other farm now too. He's like, but Belgium
Yeah.
originally, and he has like goats running around. He plays in like a dungeon, basically with like brick in the back and like a barn, like chickens running around, animals. Like he's worth a. You should check him out. Check it on Twitter, DraftGanger7. Those at home too. If you haven't given him a follow on Twitch, I got to give him a shout out. He is a personality. He is an absolute gem, and this is a looks like we're gonna get to see him either double up or be knocked out here as top pair versus nut flush straw and over, as Kanapong thinking about keeping the aggression on. Pretty good semi bluff hand. Also could take his equity, but with the lead in the hand against a big blind range, probably just going to go keep betting. Interesting sizing there. Goes about a little over a 10 pot. Bert debating to shove or call. I think merit on both, although probably shove here, right? So many draws, deny some equity, could just have the best hand. And maybe your opponent has like tens or jacks, even it puts him in a tough spot. Kanapong, what's he thinking, Lynn? I should have checked back, or I should have shoved. Now he doesn't really want to even call off. He's got such a powerful hand.
Yeah. I I don't know what he's putting his opponent on. Coming from cash games, I'd put my chips in here so fast. Um, but it does seem like in tournaments, especially once there's ICM at play and at the final table, they just play so much tighter. So he finds the call.
He is going to call. You see the equity, he's still got a decent chance, but he is behind. Needs an ace or a diamond, or Bert will continue the run, and that looks clean. That is going to be a lady, and that is a two pair, top two at that. Only needed the one pair. He holds, and he is back in the game. It's like you knew. It's like you knew he's back in the mix. He's got a million. He's oh man, this would be quite a comeback from like the shortest stack to getting it done. But we haven't gotten to see Smilovich really get activated yet as the chip leader at this final table. He is certainly someone who knows how to play the big stack, plays some of the biggest live in the world as well, high rollers, and he has got himself a big stack here. Gets rid of the ducks to the under the gun open. Ace four suited. Yeah, this is it's fun to watch. It really is so different. It's interesting to see cash game players in tournaments. We do see the main event, so deep stack, such good structure. A lot of some cash game players historically have won or done very well in there. And what's your deepest run in the main? Or you'll be there this year at the WSOP again?
We'll see. If I'm stateside, I'll just for sure swing by and play. If I'm traveling, I probably won't fly back for that. We have three huge hands here, by the way. Your premiums.
That is for sure a lot of firepower for this situation. Bert, we were just singing his praises. He was in a good spot. All of a sudden, though, he's got a min raise from a big stack. Probably just it's under the gun, but going to give that a little lighter range with the stack size. And then jacks, you got to be worried about it. But you have queens. You're off like 20, 22 bigs, queens, button, and yeah, I mean, this is I guess Matt may get off, right? Matt maybe get saved. It may go jam, call, and then jacks can find a fold, I guess. Even though they don't love that, but that's going to be this is a big swing for us for the dinner wager. I'm talking nice dining, right? This isn't like a fast food in and out. You're in LA. I'm talking like a good dinner. So this would be a good swing if aces can hold and the world champ gets knocked out, and then there is Baba. Look at a little time bank treatment, little trick, little composure. Always worried about the internet going out, but he does take his time. Jack snap fold and 4-1. Here we go. 2 million in the pot. Can Bert find? Oh,
Perfect.
stop it! Stop
When you
it!
know,
Still got a fade. Still
No
got a
king, no
fade.
ace.
Still got action here to the
Low.
river, and it is gonna be, I think, clean. And this is not a. Wow. I mean, that is, Lynn, be honest with me. How do you know? Like, this is a wild pick. This guy now has like, is he second in chips? He was the shortest stack. Now he's second, and he just took queens and aces. And I mean, it's a lot. That's a lot. That is a lot to take right there. He is off and running, and I can imagine he's having a moment on Twitch because that is a big equity spin out.
Yeah.
To be out in ninth instead now in second. You're talking about ninth place 44, second if you were to get at least second, that's 252, $250,000. So big swing there, big moment, and Bert is on his way. So we are literally nine-handed. We are now in a different situation as Bert has got some chips, and that was special. You could almost feel it, right? You could feel it was, and then set over set, aces come in third there. Jacks hit a jack as well.
To answer your earlier question, so my longest run in the live main event is like right before the bubble. I think the first time I played it, I was maybe 50 to 100 off. I was so disappointed. Um, I was sure I would be the youngest final tablist. But what about you, Jeff? What's your deepest run?
I've gotten around I think 222 or 223 was my deepest, and then last year I got like 250 in the last main event. I came just for the main, so that was fun, and it had been a while since I had a really nice steep run, and that was it is fun, right? You look at the room, starts closing down, and you're like, you feel like there's a chance, and you would listen. We've seen names, we know people that have won or done well, or even final table is such a big score, so fun, such an experience. So yeah, I mean, it's an amazing tournament. I try to play every year as well. I think I've only missed once, and since I was 21, and I try to play every year. It's also nice to refresh the WSOP at Bally's. It's a fresher look. Things are upgraded, just kind of nice, right? The Rio has a lot of nostalgia for me, like to be there and like all that, but it's just a little needed. It needed a facelift, right? That it needed a little bit of a kick up there. So it's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the first time I ever went to WSOP, I was 19. I shared a room with a friend. Uh, I had so much fun, but there's no chance I could go back and do that all again now. So it's nice to
Yeah.
have, yeah, the series closer to the strip, and then, have a bunch of great dining options right there.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just different, and different time. I was saying when we were talking before, I have two young children now, and definitely I miss like going out there. It's like fun being a little bit younger and not a care in the world, and just being there for 7-8 weeks, and running around, playing tournaments, playing cash games, having fun, and it's yeah, it's changed a bit, but it is. I do it in some ways. I like it more, right? Where it's like I'm there and I'm really like, wow, I want to play, because it does. There's that burnout too. If you're there for 6, 7, 8 weeks, you're like every day you wake up, there's another tournament. Now there's so many different options too. This place has one. WSOP even with like 100 events, right? There's the afternoon tournament. Oh, I kind of play high low, or PLO now. It's a great game. I love PLO. So it's like, all right, the bust the no limit event, and then there's a PLO in the afternoon, and you're kind of like in there every day. It can go from very fun to sort of like, wow, like I'm stuck in it for a bit. So I think that's something you hear in the ground. You talk about some others, the quality, right? To be more, that's something I really think is better, to like pick a schedule, like say I'm going to play these events, make it quality, take a little bit of time off.
Mhm.
And I recommend that a lot, but you don't have to worry about that as a cash game player. You just get to come in and play when
Yeah,
you choose. And like,
I
that is
plan
nice too.
my Vegas schedule is just around like socializing, and wherever I fit poker in, I fit poker in. And if it doesn't happen, probably save me money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and the tournaments too, I think it's funny on my podcast, I've noticed the people on the podcast that are poker, like 95%, they final table in their Henna Mob is their first. Their first Henna Mob is like a final table. I think that kind of gets you kind of hooked or something. There's something weird with that, right? Like it's weird. It's
Yeah.
not like, think about it. Like that's literally true. And maybe some of our smaller fields or whatever, but that's kind of that tournament. You can get hooked if you win one or get a big score. It's kind of like, oh, this is great. But we all know some tournament people that grind them all the time, and it's awesome, but it's also can be it's a hard way to make an easy living. I would say the tournament grind is a lot of variance. It can be I respect these players so much. Like again, this is the marquee event on the internet. It's 10,000 buy-in every week. Some of the best players in the world. There is satellite options, but these guys are, this is the highest level, right? It's a 10K online is probably like playing a 50K live or something. I'd say in that range of like a calibration of skill level. That's how I would put it. So yeah, these guys and girls know what they're doing today, and you can see a very high level. Take some notes, ask questions. I think that's again what I recommend is the best thing is to get better at these is to look at hands where it's you think, oh, why did he do that, or why would he open here, or why did this happen, and talk to some of your friends that are you think better, or a group of friends, and they can kind of bounce ideas off each other. We're seeing some collisions here. We're getting a lot of like big pairs. This is a nice
Oh, yeah.
timing for the short stack. Juan Pardo Dominguez finds aces versus tens on 4.5 BB as blinds are up to 25.50.
So, Jeff, I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. You said guys and girls. How often do you get women at the final table here at the GG Millions?
Hold that thought. We're going to see if we can get a 4-1 this time to hold, as the short stack is ahead this time. Short stack ahead. Aces, tens, 2 outs, 1 to come. Gonna fade it, gonna double. No one wants to go home today. Everyone's having fun. Still 9-handed. To be honest, that's a good question. Most are real names on here now, so to be fair, I don't. And in the audience, a lot of familiar faces here today. If you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if many. I think maybe Kristen Bicknell, I want to believe, has been on here. I don't think many that at least they're confirmed, right? Some are usernames and might not know, but in terms of real name, I can't really think of females here. Lynn, might have to get you out in Mexico and get back in the after you see this the booth magic's a real thing for tournaments too. You get to take some notes, look around, get the feel for it, and then come right in. And that is going to be ace 10 and behind. Juan Pardo Dominguez now dominated, looking for a chop. Doesn't have a backdoor flush draw. A jack on the turn. Needs a 5 for a chop, 10 for the win, ace for a chop, and it is going to be GG. Juan Pardo Dominguez, golfer claps all around, out the door. We are 8-handed, pay jumps for all, 13K at that, 57,000 now guaranteed for all the players. And again, Juan Pardo Dominguez, tournament crusher. Everyone's happy. It's kind of like in a cash game. If someone gets stacked or they rebuy, but in a tournament, like, you literally are always anti-sweating, right? You want people out, you want pay jumps. This guy, he's a tough player. It's like there was I think it was Nick Schulman and Jonathan Little. What do you see on Twitter? There's some like incident where like coming over to sweat, like when it's like a bubble of a high roller, people come over and you're like anti-sweating from the table. It's funny because like everyone's thinking it, but it's like there's some class, some respect to it. But that is and I mean, a cash game, you don't really care that much, right? If someone gets stacked, it's like, okay, yeah, they'll reload, maybe they go on tilt a little bit. It's like maybe good, but tournament, it's more final. Someone's out, pay jumps, and benefit immediate for all. So yeah, we are now 8-handed, and again, I think we're on. This is they've all been taking. I would say, like, someone's asking how long. I'd say the average on these are around 2.5 hours. It's funny too. Sometimes it goes super fast. They'll get down to 4 or 5, but then it's deeper. And then sometimes no one wants to go home, as we're seeing Lynn, you're bringing a lot of energy today. A lot of hands. We've seen aces and queens and tens and jacks and huge pairs today.
Yeah, definitely a couple of clashes already.
That ace 10, ace king hand was super interesting. I think that was more so because Daniel too, he's the big stack. He's going to put ICM pressure. Ace 10, I think Juan Pardo Dominguez, recognizes that. That's one thing we notice on here a lot, is that the big stack really opens wide, 3 bets light, like puts a lot of pressure with this type of stack. He's going to expect ace 10 to be the best hand a lot of the time. So I was pretty unlucky to be dominated, and then also not hold not, could have chopped, could have got there, of course, but we see a knockout. And Bert Stevens, everyone, if you're just joining, was a short stack, now is in second of 8 and looking like a very good opportunity for a nice score to add to his impressive GG resume.
Yeah, I was going to ask you earlier if the big stack, Mr. Smilovic, was maybe playing a touch tighter, just because it seemed like he had 3 pretty short stacks right after him. Obviously, one of them's busted, the other one's doubled up twice. But is that something that happens where when people are so short, they just kind of have to play like chip EV more so?
Yeah, I think that's like, if you're a short stack too, you're really looking to target like a big stack when they're opening, because of fold equity. Like, you realize they literally are opening so wide, and you're going to get, you're going to get some folds off that open. And so I think that's something you see a lot. And it's interesting. Obviously, distribution, you don't know what the player is getting. The big stacks get to get good hands as well. So that was what we saw there, as that was just unfortunate timing to get a pretty good hand, and then the chip leader has ace king, one of the best hands, and just gets to scoop you up. As Bert has a value hand here. Ace 7 suited is, I don't really know what it's thinking about. Doesn't have much to think about there. Does get out of the way. Bert is going to pick that up to 2.5 million. Some really short stacks. This is an interesting distribution of chips today, and then you get to see when a big stack really does separate, and there's a lot of shorter stacks can start getting away with a lot of nonsense. So again, Daniel, I know. Actually, when I streamed on Twitch years ago, we used to battle a lot. I know he's a talented player. I've few players I ever kind of had words with. We used to have some words, and we'll get into a little bit. But I mean, it's impressive how he's done. I've seen him in like the 25Ks, 50Ks live, hitting huge scores and really, asserting himself as one of the game's best. So that's cool to see. It's funny with poker how now people talk about solvers and the game's getting harder, but there's also so many new people. What's your experience of cash games? Because do you notice that? Do you feel they've gotten tougher,
Yeah.
or do
Oh
you
my
feel that
gosh.
like, wow, more people are playing and it's easier?
I mean, both, but like public games especially. My boyfriend and I were both just remarking on how, like, we used to be the youngest person at the table, always. I'm 26, he's 24, and now it's like oftentimes we'll show up and there'll be a couple of people like younger than us. So we just commentated a 1 to 400 game that's streamed live at Bally, which GG sponsors. But yeah, there was like a 23 and 24-year-old like in there in the mix. So games have definitely gotten a little bit tougher in some ways, but we also see like a lot of new blood and more people getting into the game.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I mean, I remember one stat a few years ago at the WSOP, like women, or I think it was 21-year-olds or something with women as well, but like the amount of young players, it was like shocking. There was like no 21-year-olds
Mm.
playing, a very small amount. Someone was I forget where it came up or was talked about, but that was very like alarming. But I think now there is a lot of younger players coming in,
I think the
and a nice
pandemic helped.
play with it.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Nice play, ace king there. Getting Bert to fold the best hand. Check raise. Matthew, very experienced player as well. And here we get to see again king jack off. By no means it's not a weak hand, but you're not going to see a middle or shorter stack probably opening from under the gun +1 as he does pick that up. The rich get richer. Very, very impressive. And again, booth magic. I'm not, again, cash games. I don't know how that works, but tournaments, we've seen a lot of guests come on and have tremendous amount of success shortly after. Even Jonathan Jaffe was just on. He had a $1 million score at Triton. Mario Mosbeck's on, just won the GGMillion Live. Congrats to him, the 25K version of this. There's a lot to mention. Nacho Barbero's been on quite a tear. Just took down a Triton event as well. Legend. He tunes in often to this show, so if he's watching, please say hello. I know he'll send me a picture sometimes, like with it up on the TV, watching the YouTube from wherever he is in the world, and it's fun. I've had a lot of great success stories of booth magic, so I hope that translates for you, and I hope you lose the dinner though, because like I said, it's gonna be a nice dinner, but afterward you can do well in
Okay.
your cash games for sure.
Okay. I'll run hot and cash and then I'll buy dinner. Sounds like a great deal to me.
We're
So
+1s. You can bring your boyfriend. I'll bring my wife. We
perfect.
can do
That'd
it.
be
It's a
great.
little more expensive dinner, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Gambling. We're gambling. Ace 10 suited gut shot. Gonna work here, surely. Pot size bet. Samuel just kind of realizing what he's putting pressure on here. Jack would be in a tough spot. 6 or 4, force a fold versus the big blind range. A draw, it's less attractive, and he is gonna semi-bluff his way through that hand again. I mentioned his pedigree, just one of those guys that has been around forever and some crazy amount of earnings live online, and has also had success live. But yeah, I'm older. Like you say you're 26. I'm 30 or 24 or 26. I'm 37. So yeah, I've been playing 20-ish years, and it's funny. It's fun to see some of these guys that are like still grinding, crushing tournaments that were around when we were like 16, 15, 17. They started playing online, and then they're still here doing it and at the highest level. It's pretty impressive. The game has changed a lot over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a ton of respect for people who are willing to like grit their teeth, study, keep up with the game, and just more or less do whatever it takes to continue playing the high stakes.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the guys too, like Seidel and even Negreanu, who's really obviously been around and content wise does a lot too, but also has worked hard on his game, realizing that hey, there's a new breed, there's a new way of looking at the game, and I need to do something or I'm going to get passed by.
Mm.
Phil Hellmuth, who is he continues to shock the world as white magic, he calls it, and how people don't like. I was just with them actually. I went to San Francisco. Let me tell this story in a second. As sixes to queen nine, we could see another knockout. A little bit scary. There's the queen, had the ace as an out as well to counterfeit. So now six or six only. Bert is gonna give and relinquish that pot 900K. So he's still healthy, 1.9. But I was mentioning about Phil Hellmuth. He's kind of very polarizing, right? People love him or they're kind of like, this guy's ridiculous. But I was just with him in San Francisco, went to the Warriors charity event, had a blast. Went to the Warriors game as well. And it was, he's also like kind of one of those people haven't really, the newer age crushers are give him a hard time. They're like, man, you play bad or what are you doing? But then he kind of just keeps having results, right? He wins bracelets. He seems like he's got some special sauce. What's your take on a Phil Hellmuth? Do you think is he a sorcerer? Is he just clicking buttons? What's your take from what you see?
Well, I definitely don't think he's just clicking buttons, for a man with a record like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue against results. Um, we
Hold
have
that
a
thought.
in
Jacks
here.
to Kings. This is just like big pair confrontation day. I mean, there is a from behind short stack on the turn.
Made
He's
the
got the
heart.
hard outs though. Could he get it one back? He does. I was gonna say that would be dirty to lose aces to what was it, queens, and then to lose kings to jacks and get out in 8. That would have been pretty nasty. Instead, Enrico's going to be short, and Valdemar has been on a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but back to 1.5. So I'm sorry. Continue on your thought.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think Phil like absolutely just has experience on his side, if nothing else. And that probably applies in ways that isn't super obvious to newer players like myself. I absolutely think like live reads, live tells are a thing. And we've seen him do some pretty incredible stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's well said. I think you got results. You got to results oriented is you got to be careful with that and how that works. But when you do just seem to win, and it's even like some of these events he's winning. It's not like the mixed game, very small field. He's winning. Wow, what a flop here for Ace Five suited. He's winning, 10K turbos and doing stuff where you can't just kind of coast around, right? You got to play. You got to be aggressive. You gotta beat some really tough players. So he's, I'm in PH's corner. I think Phil's a master marketer, genius, and just his own special way of how he does things. But he's definitely a legend of the game. As this is going to be a very tricky spot for tens. I mean, against the big blind range on the 5-5-6-2 club, you do have a club. Right. So you're blocking like a draw that might be aggressive in the spot. It's also a side pot. You got to think how aggressive is your opponent going to be in here with the ace five suit, effectively the nuts, right? What is he going to do? Probably want to check raise. There's a side pot, a lot of money out there, a lot of draws available. So I think raising is mandatory here, right? Just how much.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. Okay. Yeah. I was going to say, it does feel like you could have a lot of your opponent's value range pretty crushed.
Mm-hmm.
But it sucks when I check call a spot where I wanted to check raise and then just like a card comes that just kills all action and I can't get any more chips into the pot.
It just depends. Obviously the bias of whole cards up. It's like, oh yeah, check raise. He has an overpair, but like it's the board is very favorable for a draw, right? On the big blind, who's going to call. So I love it. I don't blame Bert for calling here. Tens are in big trouble. Need some help. A 3 of clubs does offer an opportunity for some other things to go his way, and it is a club. Is it going to pair? Wow. Whoa. Mr. Giraffe, dude, that is quite the hard way to do it. The runner club. That is GG. That is 3.6 million to the man, the myth. Again, he streams, he does it all. Between Bert and Daniel, the 2 Austrian flags, they have 10 million chips. The rest have, what is that? Like 4, I would say 1.445 million. So it's 10 million to 5 million, 2 versus 4. Team Austria flag running hot. Bert is on an absolute heater. And you said it. Sometimes there's just energy in life, and you chose him at the bottom, and he has just had himself quite a start, going to a healthy second with 6 left. Wow. Crazy hand.
So I remember a few years back, it seemed like viewers had the option to bet on players at a final table or in a tournament series. Is that still a functionality that GG has integrated into the platform?
Yeah, there is a way to wager. Again, I'm I'm based out of Miami. I haven't been playing on GG for a while, so I haven't like been streaming or playing online tournaments and being the client. I don't know. I know there's a way to buy action. There's also there is a way, I believe, they price the players, and there's a way to do that, to wager, and like they give odds and stuff in various spots. I'm not sure. It's a great question. Maybe someone in the chat could answer specifically on that, because I actually don't know. I haven't been on in a little while to see, like, so I don't know how that looks, but
With two young kids, no one can blame you. So
yeah,
I get
yeah, exactly. Less poker, less travel. But I'm ready. I'm ready to get back in it. I'm ready. I really do like miss it. I like when I go to the World Series, I'm excited, and I want to play the main. And I saw there's like a bomb pot. I think they're doing an event this year. There's some other creative ones. The mystery bounties are always fun. There's a lot of
I love the flip and goes. I was
yeah,
a couple years
yeah.
back, I was the first person to cash and bust. I just dust ace king for a couple hundred bigs or something. But that was a lot of fun.
I have two. It's funny. I have two opposite stories of flip and go. The first time I ever did it, I was in. It was the 1K version they had at the WSOP, and I was at a table. Sean Deeb was there, and it's actually a bit of skill, right? Because it's like sometimes you want to fold top pair and have like the draw, because it's like
Yeah.
9-handed and multiple. So like I had a decision, and I kept like top pair with a like modest kicker versus like keeping the gut shot. Sean Deeb he ended up keeping the gut shot, although he had no decision, right? It was just like he had a deuce with like the 2 cards. I had a
Right.
decision. I chose differently, and I would have chopped, so we would have been in a playoff. And then I went in for 17 buy-ins in the 1K. I had to sit there for 17 times, rebuy, be there, and lose. It was actually the max tilt like ever. And then my last 2 times doing the flip and go, I've been first. And one of them was Roman. He just won the Triton Main, the 100K Roman Harabik. He's been a guest on the show. There you go. Talk about booth magic. There's another booth magic. He gave me his seat at the flip and go. He was in for like 15. He was waiting for Patrick, I think Leonard or so, as one of his buddies, didn't get in. And he was like, you can take mine. And I got it. My first try. Imagine losing 15, having the winning seat, and then you give it up for whatever reason. You want to wait for your buddy. And then I won it on my first one. I mean, that's like the polar opposite of variance of like tilt and joy. But yeah, congrats to Roman as well. He just took that down at the Triton for I think 4.4 million in a record 100K Triton. So pretty nice score.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that was a year that or I guess the first year that the flip and go showed up. I think I saw Scott Seaver or something post about being in for like 30 something.
Yes. Yeah. Honestly, that's like that's like really sick if you think about it. That's like really crazy. And then you get in and like you min cash, right, for 1,800 or something, and it's just like that's or I don't think you got in. I think it actually
I don't think he got in either. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's I guess even worse.
Yeah. But when he's
like,
playing 6 and 7 figures,
yeah, you're like, oh, I'll pay for a cash, like whatever. I'll get on and then play for a bracelet with it's like a sit and go or a shootout from that amount of players left. It's actually a decent chance for a bracelet, but yeah, it can definitely go south. Yeah, I think the record's like 50 actually. It was like 52 or something. But, yeah, it's sick. They should give a bonus. They should do something for whoever's in for the most, right? Just in case, like that's a horror story. It makes me not want to go, because like it really is. It's like you just think it's math, but it's an independent event every time. It's
yeah,
can get ugly.
I call it character building.
What's your favorite place to play poker in the world that you've been?
Oh gosh. Okay. So I was watching a little bit of the Triton stuff. Les Ambassadors in London, my absolute favorite place to play poker. It's just so elegant. It's like the decor at Win or Encore, but on steroids. Have not ran particularly well there, but I do really enjoy playing there whenever I get the opportunity.
It's great. It's a great spot. There's definitely something about London as well. The just sort of, high end and just feels cool. It's also nice in pounds, right? Everything's a little more exciting, little extra meat on it. I love there too. It's a great call. One of the cooler places for sure. Have you been to any? Do you have any Tritons plans on your to play like some of the cash games? Or you wouldn't be playing necessarily the tournaments, but have you looked at any of the stops? Do you ever go to series to like when there is a series to play cash?
No, I've never really done that. Back in it must have been 2019. I was playing a good amount with JRB, and he was just like, "Hey, like if you want to come to London, we'll be able to get you into the cash games now and then." So I went that year, and then they've been playing some more cash lately. 1 2 2 4 with like a huge squid game.
Yep.
Haven't played that yet, but if I were to go back, that might be one of the possibilities.
Yep. Makes sense. JRB, definitely a legend, has some legendary Triton cash game hands as well. And I've known him a long time, play a lot of poker with him. He's definitely a character, a mystical creature of poker. He is fascinating guy for sure. A lot of fun. He's got some famous hands, definitely. He's got some poker Hall of Fame hands.
Yeah.
What
I
was it?
always enjoy
Was it?
Roble stories about JRB. Go ahead.
Yeah. Was it the two? Was it? I would say was it 2-3? There was some crazy hand, or was it
I
ace?
think it was
I
like
forget.
5-3 offsuit, and he was just in for heaps.
Yeah, like all in under the gun. It was like raise,
Yeah.
re-raise, and then he got it in. Yeah, and that was a huge pot. I think he was against Ace King actually, so he was live, but he
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah,
Roble's at the table, and you can just look at Roble's face, thinking, what in the world is going on? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, this is again, this has been a interesting start to the final table. A couple shorties double, and now aces again against. Wow, actually, Samuel. This is one of those things when you think about world class players. Certain spots are just really tough. Is there a way where he raises, and I mean this is going to look very strong, of course, short stack 120, a re-raise, and then this play, I mean, how many times he's had aces and kings, he lost aces
Yeah.
to queens, and then he had to get dramatically bailed out with, what was it, kings to jacks, and now he's got aces versus ace king off. And I don't know, do you see a world where Samuel could get away here? Is this because this is going to be raise, min click, oh, he just shoves, and wow, ace king, this is going to look, it actually might work out for him, right? Where ace king is like, you wouldn't think that a player has aces by doing this. At the same time, you don't leave him a chance to like rip it, right? So now he could maybe get bailed out where he's just like, look, this guy's gonna have queens or jacks a lot, could have ace king also, I only have 240 out there, they're shorter, really short stacked. Then what do you think here, Lynn? Can he find a fold?
I think he's gonna call eventually, right? Because I mean,
I
how
mean,
does
this
get
is the
away?
question he asked. If he has queens or jacks, do I call? What I call, like the price,
Right.
right? With the, but then there's ICM, and then on top of it, it's like, does he ever have kings? You kind of discount aces, right? By shoving, that's actually like, could, again, it doesn't, you wouldn't think he has aces to play it this way.
I guess to your point, I don't ever think my opponent has ace queen in this spot. And if I never think he has ace queen, it means at best I'm flipping, which makes folding seem like a much more reasonable option. And it does seem like, players playing like these tournaments, the best of the best, are able to get away a lot more often than I ever would. So maybe.
Yeah.
I don't see it, but maybe.
I I think he's gonna. I think he might. I think he might be able to fold here. It's six-handed. Also, skill from a skill perspective, great players around, but he knows he. I think he generally is trying to avoid sort of flips or spots. But I mean, it's a tough final table. Honestly, these Matthews, a great player, Bert, world class player, Daniel, world class player. Ballimore's got a great resume, and then you have the short stack. But I can guarantee you, Samuel doesn't get to be basically the number one all time tournament earner in poker by trying to ladder one spot. So I don't think laddering is on his mind so much. You're talking about,
Yeah.
it's a decent pay jump, right? Sixth to fifth. But if he
Yeah.
feels that he could have the best hand, or, flipping and the math is correct, he's not going to pass on a spot. This is a big moment. He would be basically in second if he were to call either one of these players and win. tied for second. So I actually don't know. This is one I really don't know. Of course, seeing the cards, the bias, take it out of it. But you got to think, if you have ace king, it's a raise, re-raise, six-handed, shove. It's always more fun to have the last aggressive action, right? So now he's calling off.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I think it's really close.
Yeah, definitely a tough decision here. And like you said, I much prefer being the person that is all in and then waiting for my opponent to make a decision.
Let's see. One for a fold, two for a call. What do you guys think at home, audience? I'm torn. I think he's gonna ultimately I think he's gonna fold, I think, but I'm just not sure. I really am not. This is probably like dead on 50-50. He's using a lot of that chess clock, Lynn, also to point out that that is a 15-minute chess clock everyone gets, and then you get to use that throughout. So like this, for example, use a long time, and then you can play fast to others. If you do hit that clock goes to zero, you only have 5 seconds to act on each street, each decision. We do see that happens time to time, and it's for sure a disadvantage, but he is using a lot of clock here. Audience engaged, giving us the ones and twos if they think going to fold or call. Pretty split decision. Makes sense. I'm split myself, but I'll say fold. I'm just going to feel like the best seem to get it right. They
What a
just get it
fold.
right. They just make a big fold, and he's actually, you see jacks or queens or even like, oh, is it a good fold? But when he has aces, it's a
Yeah.
good fold. That is a good fold, and he is going to avoid pain there. It just makes you wonder too if Vladimir had like clicked it, right? Ace king. I don't think you could just see ace king folding to a click. Maybe then he shoves. So interesting thought process from Vladimir to go all in, and it kind of bailed his opponent out, right? Got him a chance to fold a big hand, but at the same token, if his opponent has a hand like tens or jacks or something, may just figure that he's doing well against some hands and maybe gets a call lighter. So yeah, interesting. Definitely one to look at. That's one to talk about with your friends, to look at the pros and cons to shove versus click it if you're Vladimir. I'm curious myself on that.
Yeah. Would love to get an expert perspective on a hand like that. Absolutely.
What are you trying to say, Lynn? What are you trying to say? No, I'm with you. That's what I'm saying. I make notes all the time because it is interesting, and that it's
Jeff, I
also
was
like
agreeing with you.
no, we were both. I was both. I'm lost. I was a little torn on it. I'm just saying it is fun to talk to. That's why poker's so cool, because you could literally call up some friends of yours that are great tournament players, and like one might say, "Oh yeah, definitely shove," and one would say, "Yeah, you should induce." So it's not always 100% one way, as we see a 100% for Bert with the King 10 suited, the taxi. Houston, Texas out there. That is a lock on the hand. He has the nuts, the best possible hand. King 9 now. Doesn't get a great run out. Again, nice sizing. And look at this. Smilovich not even interested for 90 there. Just says there's no bluffs, in my opinion. I lose to too many hands. Nice hand, folds. Still has 6.1 million.
I like all of the animations and like the table talk that the players can have here on GG. It's fun to watch them interact with each other.
Yeah, there's exactly. There's emojis. There's a bunch of different capabilities. That's also one of the reasons GG is the leader in the world. Software, very, very great software. Of course, partnering WSOP is nice to be able to win bracelets online, but the software is awesome. And this is, again, no deal making in the GGMillion. This is straight up play for what it says. 323 up top, 252 for second. You can see in the lower left all the way down. What do you think about deal making? Do you like it? Do you think it's good? Do you think you should just be play for it all?
No, I like the way GG has it here, where you have to play for it. I think it's a more pure, honest, raw form of poker. And then just like very selfishly and personally speaking, if I were to ever get into something like this, I imagine having the deal making capability would not be good for me. And yeah, and I would be there to gamble if I were to ever fire something like this.
Well, there again, 10K Sundays, play to the final table. There is satellite options available from, I think, all the way down, but it's a lot of familiar faces. You do see new people in here that pop up from time to time, and maybe satellite, maybe take a shot, but there's definitely one of the more, these are tough cookies in here. This is, no one's giving it away. Players play well. People know what they're doing. It's fun to see the best battle, and who can come out ahead. Smilovic with a huge lead today. Bert now in second, and a couple other shorter stacks as Matthew has 1.3 and Samuel 1.4. And there you go, Vladimir over the 2.3 million mark. So wide open, but at the same time, huge favorite. I don't know if you were to price Smilovic right now with 6 million chips. There's what, 3.4? There's 4, 5, 5, 8, like 10 million in play. He's got 6 of the extra 10, so 16. He's got a lot of chips for sure. Bert very healthy, and nine's just gonna flat. Queen Jack suited, closing the action. Pretty nice starter hand there too. Pretty boring flop, but like wow, just no one loves the flop.
Yeah. Do you think Smilovic in with these chip counts would be a favorite versus the field, Jeff?
Yeah,
Not
he's
quite.
got, it's probably very, yeah, so I'd say it's close. 3 point, like the total chips in play. Nice turn there for Vladimir, was already winning. Yeah, it's a great question. I think that's probably close, right? What would you take if I said you could have him or the field? Who do you take?
I mean, look, I bet on Burr early on. I'd have to take the field there. But yeah, just watching like how well these great tournament players like navigate large stacks. I have
Yeah.
to think it's, like you said, it has to be close.
Well, nines decides to start betting, does take it down. Makes sense. Could also have slipped a little more rope, but guess figures if someone has an ace, they'll probably stick on, right? Try to get a couple streets at least. And
Yeah.
then if they don't, not a ton of yeah, could check. It's not necessarily going to help him get paid on the river. So does go for it, does pick it up. Queens again. Our friend has had a lot of pairs. He did lose with the one, but he has had all the big pairs. Aces, he's had kings, he's had queens to get aces again. Yeah, he's getting dealt in for sure. Kanapong is your short stack. Mike Wasserman in the chat. Great to see him. He's been on as a guest a few times recently.
Who are some of the people you've had on the most, Jeff?
Say it again.
Who are some of the guests that have made the most appearances on the show?
I think, well, so see Jonathan Jaffe, a lot of couple 2-time guests. Jonathan Jaffe, Brian Rass has been on, I think 2 or 3, and then a lot of two-time guests. So Mike's been on several times as well, and that's sort of like, I'd say there's probably like 6 or 7 on that have been twice, but welcome to have you back again as well. That would be awesome. How do you like commentary? You've done it now all of a sudden a couple times recently.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's cool to see just how better players go about navigating their hands. I was thinking about that when you were talking about the booth magic. It's like watching all these players be so deliberate with every single chip they put into the pot. Definitely makes me want to clean up my game a little bit. Uh, but
Wow.
yeah, this is cool. Yeah.
This is a sick
Did you-
shove. I mean,
yeah.
super draw heavy board. We saw him do this before. A call has been called. Queens, king, deuce. The equities you can see there needs a king or a spade. One to come. Queen of spades he has, and it is an ace, and that is a huge hit to Bert, who took a chance. And Vladimir, who showed us with that shove with aces. Maybe you're wondering, was he scared or is he looking for action? There he calls off confidently the queens on a tough spot where he could be in a lot of trouble, and he does pick it up and now has 5.3 million, and Bert has got the work cut out for him, and that is you can't blame him. He turned his hand to a bluff, figures going to get folds from a lot of better hands. He does have some backup if he's behind, and wow, look at this. Matthew, who's been quiet, ace queen, and ace king. Matthew Stumpf is not going to like getting played back at by Smilovich. As we said, the big stack gets a lot more freedom to be light. So here,
Oh,
oh wow, and he committed, so it won't even
yeah.
really matter. He's just going to be, Smilovic is thinking, maybe I'm flipping. I cover everyone. I don't care. I love my hand. And this is going to be even a better situation. Basically, best case. I don't know if Ace Jack just like rips that in from that spot. So it's like he's going to be expecting a flip a lot. And Kanapong just can't get dealt in. He's like, I got Ace Queen. I'm short. This is great. Now it's like raise, re-raise. And
Yeah.
you are super short with Ace Queen off. I mean, yeah, I guess you got to fold, right? The pay jump alone, Matthew Stumpf is at risk. And you now have a chance to ladder and you don't really want to call off. Like, you're basically third in with ace queen off. So even though it looks like it's close, I don't think it's that close. He is going to fold, and now a potential 26K ladder for Matthew as he is realizing the bad news. He has probably stepped into it, flipping, he's hoping, but now he's dominated, needs help. Ace queen, ace king, and the lady is there.
That's
Heart
great.
though, real sweat. GG drawing dead on the turn. What a tease of a flop. The ladies, they love to tease sometimes. A little queen, not enough, dead on the turn. Chip leader gonna get richer, and that is a massive pot. Now you got to say the conversation's different. He is up to a ridiculous stack. He is now there, and you see 120 will be the next payout. Six-figure club, welcome in, as there is 7.5 million and 5.2. I mean, got to be a pretty big favorite here. Ace 10 going to open, and Boostin with sixes, bit tricky, decides to fold.
What a dream spot for Smilovic. Having position in the next biggest stack, having two short stacks to your left. Have to imagine this is pretty ideal.
Yeah. Again, that also, and you're looking at the odds to win, all that does matter a lot. He's got, again, the great seat covering the big time, the next biggest, as he has just got everything working. You see king 7 top or middle pair flop, king 7 suited, no longer in the lead, no longer has a chance to win the hand unless there was like a board pair and bluff. But at the moment, he has got ace 10, not the nut straight, but a strong straight, the high end straight, ace 10 converting. Certainly going to want to get paid here versus two pairs. That flush draws 5. Could actually think about going bigger. And he checks back. I mean, that's a savage check back. Board pairs. That's super interesting. That is I mean, I'm just a bit shocked at that. I guess you catch some bluffs on the river, and then you also, in case you're against Jack 10. I mean, I don't think that's much what he's thinking about. I think he's more just trying to get some bluffs in there and make some deception. I mean, I guess with this sizing on the river, the board does pair, but I would imagine he's going to raise up. What do you think about that check on the turn? I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I mean, when I see the check, the only thing that, or I guess the most obvious line of reasoning from my perspective is he's thinking most of the hands that he's beating don't call him twice. May as well, check back and then give some more hands an opportunity to bluff. But yeah, I was for sure like expecting to see something like quarter pot or just some kind of bet there rather than a check. That looks like a hefty raise. Oh wow. I can't, this seems like a pretty suicidal spot to try to bluff. Yeah, so quick fold.
I'm just like yeah. So that he's just, I guess, pure deception. So the board actually goes from having close to the nuts to losing to all the two pair combos are set, although unlikely as played, and then he just decides to go for huge value there. Maybe going to get called by a 5 or trips somehow that hit trips. But that was a very interesting hand. I would take a look at what was going on there. Little bit. Yeah, above my pay grade on the check back turn, and then that sizing on the river and the board pairs. Creative line.
Yeah,
Sure.
my thoughts exactly. It's weird when I can see the cards and I'm still not sure what the players are thinking. That's when I know it's way above my pay grade. Pretty dry board here. Do you expect to see Vladimir bluff it this much?
No, because ace high, I think doesn't feel the need to bluff, so it should go check, and ace. Or he has a deuce actually, but ace 4. I'm sorry, wait, what do you have? Ace 4, ace deuce. Okay, yeah. No, I don't think he's gonna bluff there. Thinks he can win with showdown, and does just want to not be tangoing, getting too crazy here with the chip leader. Those two are sitting in a really good position. Everyone else kind of hanging on. I mean, this is a very interesting shakeout of chips right now. Really, again, we're an hour in and we're 5-handed, potentially 4. Don't want to count Kanapong out yet, but he is in life support. And then even Bert very short. This is one of the more unique final tables we've seen super fast so far today. Hope you guys are enjoying. Let us know where you're watching from. Lynn, joining us from the West Coast. I am in Miami, and we welcome all of you. Let us know where you're watching from, and we have some giveaways, including the Twitter Jeff Gross Poker pin tweet, $50 cash giveaway, and also 50 or 100 if one of Lynn's players or mine win. It's 100 for mine, 50 for Lynn. Lynn does have Smilovich. I have Valdemir and Wuston. So, and you have Bert, pretty even right now. Ace King to Ace Queen suited. Valdemir behind. If he can hit, the Queen is hot. Can it hold?
Yeah,
Or are we
they're
gonna
all
see a 10?
hitting.
Or they're rolling out. Not necessarily enough, but can he hold to the river now after getting there? And it is a brick. It is a knockout. We are four-handed. I'm going to cue the giveaway up here in a few minutes. This is going super fast. Bert loves it. Bert's seeing what's going on. He's rolling on up on the payouts now at, what is that, 154K as a short stack today. He has definitely completed his task. He did hit a big queen, right? Was it aces to queens early on, I think, or was it?
Yeah, queens versus aces versus jacks. Jacks folded pretty good. Yeah, that was a nice double. And Bert is back with ace queen. Less than 10 big blinds. Hard for him to get much action with these hands, though, it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes just, to pick up the blinds, the ante, it's nice. You're in. You don't have to do much or get cooler or have to win a flip or a 60-40 tournament life. So valuable, as we mentioned, the all-in. I think the interesting hand was the ace king today so far, that fold, and with the shove from Valdemir, and just to understand the reasoning why. I think it was more to look weaker, right? He just figured it actually looked weaker than to be re-clicking on the cold 4-bet to cold 4-bet jam versus cold 4-bet not all in, and worked out where he bailed out Samuel, but at the same time, maybe Samuel would have folded anyway if he had re-raised, and just thought it was so strong as 5-7 suited to a7. Curious if Sam shoves or calls. We have got ourselves a flop. Open-ended top pair versus top pair, ace kicker, and SPR, stack to pot ratio. Still some play here, but both players are going to really enjoy this flop. Yeah, I'm going to say imagine betting. Was there, if you were going to play another type of tournament, what would it be? Like a turbo, high roller? Tell me if you just, other than the main event, what would be your next sort of exciting tournaments to play?
So I'm actually playing a pretty small, but it seems like a pretty fun crypto invitational coming up in early May at the Poker Go studio. I really enjoyed the turbos. Anything where we just flip a quarter back and forth a few times is right down my alley. I like the action and I like it quick. But oh wow, okay.
Wow, pretty fair fight. Samuel finds the edge, small edges, a7 now, decent favorite, fading to the river. Gonna do it. So pretty wild, right? He gets off of ace king, then he gets a 56% for a double versus the guy who had aces when he had ace king. Now he is in a commanding, I should say, not commanding. He's in a nice third, very comfortable third place with Bert very short. So he's sitting pretty nice right now as ace-3 suited ace-3 off gonna commit. And deuces, these are also interesting. You see the fold, which is, again, it's like not first in, flipping at best.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is Bert still working. Bert, you had a feeling about him. He's in there still. He's short. He needs some help, but you got the chip leader right now, and it's pretty fair fight right now in terms of our wager. I've got Samuel and Valdemir, and you've got other two. And so what? 9 million basically to 6.5, wide open. What's your any restaurant recommendations, Vegas or LA at the moment? Anything new that you love or any go-to as we see this all in? 3-10 suited going to shove. Ace-5 suited is ahead, but let's see this. There's the 3. Things change quick in tournaments. Ooh, this is very sweaty. Very sweaty to the river. Needs some help, or Bert will be on his way out. And is that the ace? No, deuce. That is a deuce. Either way, it was a good card. It was a good looking peel for him because an ace or a deuce were enough, and he is in it and he is running hot. He is going to tell you he is in the game. Bert will not go down like that. He is fighting today at the Bert Draft Ganger fans at home. And we have restaurants. Where would be your choice to go for a restaurant to eat right now, like for a dinner out?
Yeah, so I haven't spent much time in LA lately. Providence is one of my favorites. They're like Californian fine dining with possibly a French twist. Pretty imaginative, pretty fun. LA doesn't really have any like Michelin starred restaurants. I don't think the Michelin Guide reviews LA. Uh, but yeah, it's definitely one of the restaurants that's up there for me. Um, Hot take, but if I'm going to eat French in Vegas, I actually prefer Guy Savoy over Joël Robuchon.
Mm,
Uh, I like the modern and yeah, I think I like the vibe there just a little bit better. It feels a little bit less stuffy, uh,
yeah.
less plush, purple velvet, etc. What about you? What are some of your favorite restaurants in Vegas, Miami?
Oh, so Miami, I'm super biased to like Zizzi's. It's a
Okay.
major food group. They have like Carbone, but they have a sushi place called Zizzi's, really cool. And there's Chateau Zizzi's also. It's like a Mexican, that kind of newer. It's really really good. And Vegas, I mean, I haven't been spending a ton of time in Vegas, but like Kabuto, I always
Yeah,
loved, off the strip. Had a cool sushi spot, and Roku, like that place. There's a few. I mean, like Lotus's, I love Thai food, so like that's one I've always loved. But there's a lot. There's a lot of good restaurants in Vegas. I don't know. I'd have to think about it again, but those are just some of like, you know, always been to go tos and in love. So yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Kabuto, Yui, Kame is the other one that everyone's loving.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, all great.
Yeah, those are good recommendations. Anyone out in the chats? I see a couple people dropping names too. It's always nice to know as the restaurants change things, something's great and then it goes away or something new comes up, and there's Casadonna as well. Casadonna and very cool scene in Miami, like brand new as well. It's great. I'm I really do like sushi. It's grown on me a lot. I think that's one of my favorite foods. It's like Thai. I love Asian, Japanese, Thai. Those are my favorite type of food. LA, I don't know. I don't. Is there anything brand new in Vegas though? Is there anything like really like new that's like super super hot that you know of?
There's that
That's
one
great.
that just opened up at Aria. Gosh, I want to say it's like I don't really even want to take the guess. Um, it's right near the lobby. It's either we're yeah. So I went to that a little bit while ago. Didn't blow my mind. I thought it was good. Um, there's the Casa something in Wynn Encore. It's on the Encore side.
Okay.
Uh, Also, like, yeah, that one's Mexican. Good. Also didn't blow my mind. I think for me, it's just interesting seeing like, which restaurants have really held up through the test of time. So,
Yeah,
Jose
similar to poker
Andreas.
players. You give them the
Yeah.
respect. You've been around 20, 30, 40, 35 years or something. It's like it's impressive. There's a lot of change. You got to stay up with what's going on, and it's not easy, right? You got to have good management, good decision making, and that's a good point. I think it's rare, right? You don't see it. You don't see a lot of restaurants that are around for that long. It definitely is. Got to give it respect when they do.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, same with poker players. It's yeah, I feel like there's always new up and coming players. And then also like now and then I'll hear about like people kind of being out of action, especially in the cash game scene. And it's always a shock when they're players that I've looked up to or always been impressed by.
Look, there's a lot of variables to overcome it. That's also why, I always recommend it's important in poker to have, as anything, not all your eggs in one basket, have some other ways of investing or income or things that you can kind of give you a little support. Because listen, poker, I don't care. You can be the best player in the world. You can be a good player, but you've gone through. There's times where it's the easiest game. You're like everything's just working. It doesn't matter. And there's times where you're like, wow, like am I? You talk about results oriented. That's hard. Poker's hard to really analyze your game too. Like in tournaments in particular, like because cash game's a little more steady. I think, of course, it's just like more control, less variance. But tournaments, like if you lose, you go on a bad year or two. There's some of the best players in the world in tournaments that go on like crazy runs, right? Where it's like their luck, they either have, some backers or support or sell action, or they don't. And then, you do hear about people getting out of action because it adds up. You're playing 25Ks, 10Ks, 50Ks, like rebuying, it's like, doesn't take that much where it can get a little crazy. So, yeah. And this is interesting. Jack 7, 9, 10. 9, 10 has one of the worst hands can have here. And Jack 7 has an okay bluff catcher, has a spade, but spades get there. Big bet, very
Wow,
strong
hefty.
bet,
Yeah.
very strong bet. I mean, all right. If you're Samuel here, you have like a kind of perfect bluff catcher candidate. You have a spade in your hand, right? So that like blocks the spades that are possible. You got to think, would my opponent with ace, what would my opponent be value betting here? A flush. Okay, I block a flush. Is a jack going to bet like that? Probably not. The 9-10, you don't have a 9 or a 10. That's the straight draw that misses. It's close. But then again, it's a huge bet. You don't have that much in the pot, and your opponent's definitely going to show you some value here. So this is wow. I mean, listen,
Right.
I've been building up Samuel. I don't know him personally that well. I met him a few times, but I've been building him up. I mean, he's literally, that is a top tier. He just got it right. Fold ace, king to aces, call there. What else? He's kind of just done the whole circuit, the cycle today of good folds, good calls, and he has got himself a second place stack currently. Very, very impressive hand. And wow. What was another one? Did he have there was another hand too? It was like pretty close. I think he got right. Like definitely the ace king to aces was a nice fold. And then
I mean, just getting A7 in there, right? Versus
oh
the
yeah,
7.
yeah, confidently gets the
Yeah.
A7 in, slight favorite, wins that one. But yeah, that was another one. Or he played it well and was right. A little bit of a dicey board.
Yeah, this is really cool to see. You were saying earlier, it almost feels like these players like know what each other have. I noticed that sometimes in cash games too, especially my most recent time commentating. Like players would just call out what each other had, like right after the hand. Yeah, to have that level of familiarity with either each other or just with the game is really cool to see.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. And it's fun. You start realizing like with you see. I just remember growing up too, and you see like Negreanu and like that calling out the exact hand, or you got it's like you start realizing that it's like magic in a way, but then also it's sort of like if you know what you had, and then you start put all the things together and what makes sense, and then it's like these guys. That's what I noticed the most is they just seem to know what to bet according to what their opponent has, like if to make them fold or small bet because they just don't have much in a spot, and they seem to get that right a lot at the highest level. And something has to give though, right? Like what's the difference between Smilovic and Bert Stevens and Samuel or even Vladimir? Like, if you were to take their attributes, what separates them? Like, dude, these guys, it's like ego. Everyone in poker, it's like Dutch
Yeah.
Boyd said, right? Poker, sex, and whatever else. That everyone thinks they're the best. So like these guys are like, yeah, I'm the best. I'm like, they're like, oh, I am the best. But if you really were to break down attributes similar to an athlete, like in soccer, their left foot, right foot, their speed, their accuracy, endurance, ability. It's like it's kind of what poker is. Everyone's got their different strengths and weaknesses. Like, oh, this guy folds too much in the big blind, or his tendencies this, or
Yeah.
he I respects ICM too much, or is too
Mhm.
loose, his VPIP. So like there's a lot you can really start getting into an individual's game tree, their individual's game plan, and there is a lot of ways to separate right between a player. Like there really is. There's a to become the highest level. It's like golf as well. To be a scratch golfer is amazing, right? But like to be on the PGA Tour and winning events, like it's hard to shave strokes once you get to that level. And this is what these guys are doing at this level, at the top 0.01%. They are finding little tricks or nuances or the difference between a fold and a call in a spot can
Mhm.
be worth all the money. So it's something has to give though, right? At the
Yeah.
highest level, like only one's going to win this tournament today, and it's an amazing game. It's super fun, and it's box of chocolates, right? You never know what you're going to get. Every tournament,
Yeah.
every final table is a little different. It's exciting, and I honestly have a good time. Like I keep pinning, it's like, oh, they pay me to do this. Like this is fun. This is actually like a study session that you get to see the best do it with whole cards up. It's a treat.
Yeah, no, it's very, very special. And this is also obviously very different from the cash games where I'm playing in or commentating in, uh,
Yeah.
where like these really are the best of the best, similar to the Triton tournaments. In order to be able to play these stakes consistently, these players have to be very, very good. Yeah. You talk about the different players like strengths and attributes. Jeff, what would you say is like, where your edge comes from or like what's one of your strongest traits in poker?
And but you're saying in just overall poker or for like cash game or tournament, just what any of it?
You pick. Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine like whatever's like working in tournaments, depending on what skill it
I mean,
is.
I'd say I play less tournaments. I actually love PLO. I play a lot of PLO
Okay.
cash games.
Yeah.
That's like my if you were to like say what would you like to do on your free day,
Mhm.
tournaments as well. I really enjoy no limit tournaments. But yeah, I would just say I think like game selection in term
Mm.
and bankroll management. I think that's something that's been great. Like never to really go crazy, and risk too much. And I think that's like the biggest thing that's overlooked, I believe, is like what games you're playing in, because you can have ego and want to battle with the best, or you can be, if you're the 10th best player in the world and you're playing right now, right? Like I think I'm a
Mm.
pretty good tournament player, but in this lineup today, if I'm like with these four guys, they're going to be better. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid, but I know that they're going to have an advantage over me in terms of like the work they put in, whatever. But if you're playing in a cash game and you're the 10,000th best player in the world, but you're the best player in the game, that's good, right? That's a good spot. So I think that type of like being honest with myself and not having an ego with that in terms of is like it's important, and that's something that I think we're all guilty of at times, of having ego and maybe not doing our best with bankroll management or uh, decision making or tilt, right? Those type of things. So I think that just kind of like those things are something I've tried to do throughout my career, is like not risk too much and be in good games and be honest with where my skill level is, right? That's it's important to be humble in the game, because you can get humbled very quickly. I'm sure we've all had different times or different experiences where we've stepped out of our lane or gotten got a little carried away, and it can you get humbled quickly. So yeah, I would say that. What about you?
Yeah, well, so I'm gonna go ahead and respond to your answer first. I really like your answer. And especially, you're married with kids. I think then everything else, all that whole the bankroll management and game selection, it all matters so much more. Um, I do tell like newer and younger players where it's like, hey, if you have like very low expenses, which I think people coming up in poker should, um, I think like these players should fire. So if you come across a spot that is like a lot better than your normal game, where you think your edge is a lot higher, like I think it's good to have more of your role on the table, but obviously like really dependent player to
Yes.
player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's absolutely says. We see Bert all in a 7 to 4s in the lead, pretty clean flop. A turn 8 doesn't change anything. 6 outs, 1 to come. Ace or 7, or Bert will be your 4th place finisher, and he does get a river. It's something 3 across. What do we got? GG an 8. It looked close. Not going to be enough. Bert though, happy, given his own golfer clap on the way out. He knows that's a job well done to get 4th when he was one of the shortest, if not the shortest, to start. Let's see. I think he was started in, if I'm not mistaken, in second
Yeah.
shortest stack, but basically tied for the shortest. So nice result to get 4th there, as a good performance again from someone that has got himself a place in poker history, winning the WSOP GG main for I'm going to say 2.4 million, but it might have been 2.7
Mhm.
million. Pretty crazy to stream that as well. Imagine live streaming that while you win, like from a farm, basically somewhere in Europe. I mean, just absolutely epic. Epic guy. Check his stuff out, Bert Stevens. And sorry, so you're for and so you for your attributes. What's
Yeah.
your superpower?
Yeah, let's see. I think I think it's a blessing and a curse. So mine would be where like if I think I have the best hand, I'm just holding on for dear life. And there's definitely been spots where it doesn't work out. But then I also do think that I think like some of the players I play against, like, older male recreational players, um, sometimes have a propensity to bluff women a little bit more than men.
Mm-hmm.
Or like sometimes I'll just come across spots where it's like the way they're playing their hand just really doesn't make sense to me. Obviously, that it doesn't always go in my favor. There's some times where I call down with bottom pair or something and just look super dumb because they just have
Right.
trips.
Right.
Um, but I think that's worked out for me more often than it hasn't.
For sure. No, it's and again being alert, right? Being aware of what you're perceived as by them. How
Mhm.
some again, so I call it like the female or the Helmuth, like the female, like a very famous or Negreanu or a female. Like I think it's similar in the respect that you have some players that are like catering to you. They want to be
Yeah.
your friend. They want to like hey, I'm not going to bluff you. And you can pick up on that. And then, like, there's people that are like trying to prove a point, text their friend, hey, I just check, I just bluffed whatever. And like, it's kind of obvious in a way, right? Like, that's why I think partly Helmuth has so much success. And it's because he's really aware of like who's doing what to him, and he gets some real big punts, or also able to get some big folds in spots where like, wow, like you just know this guy or literally or girl is not going to bluff you here ever, and they want to be your best friend, and like that helps, right? Like, or this guy's like showing down hands and coming at me, and I got like a medium spot, and I'm not sure, but I'm going to call. And this time Samuel, who just made a nice bluff with 6-4 high, we were chatting, he just made a first sort of, I guess, misstep. I mean, again, pretty close spot, but this time he doesn't. Shows can't always win, can't make every shot you take, can't win every pot you play. And Samuel, who has been spot on in some huge moments there, does call and is shown the second. He had the second best hand. So 197 guaranteed, very healthy payday for all these players. And Daniel, impressive again, just kind of really is chipped up, right? Was chip leader start, still chip leader, three-handed, very in control, very poised, seems to really have a control what's going on, as though he's still double. He started double second at the beginning of this tournament, and now at the final table, and now he's basically double second, three-handed. So pretty smooth ride thus far for Smilovich. And I just saw the clip. Giraffe Ganger put it up on his Twitter. It's him with the queens to aces, animated, standing on the chair, showing skin, doing action, smiles everywhere. And again, that's a big look at. He literally got like 110 grand from that queen, right? Because he would have been out in ninth. Instead, he got fourth. Big swing there.
Yeah, I love watching like just poker players who are going to put it all out there, and like their live reactions and deep runs, and then also like times when they bust out a little bit early. Does Giraffe always stream?
I know. He not always. I think he streams like Sundays, and then he'll stream if he makes the final table of this, which he has done several times. He also, as I mentioned, he's been a guest on this show, and he's also been on my podcast. I did after he won the main, and so it was really cool to get to know him better and talk to him. And I actually played one of my biggest pots, equity EV, with him. It was from 2017 when I was streaming on Twitch. It was my largest Twitch show ever, and it was $1 million for first, 1K buy-in. He was chip leader, and it was a final table, and like we got in a really crazy hand where like. Yeah, it was a big moment for me. It was like Jack's to Ace King, but it didn't get all in pre, and it was like a post flop, very bizarre, mixed reviews, mixed opinions on the hand. So it was fun to see him now streaming, because I remember like streaming, I would play with him all the time. This is like 7 years ago, and here he is now. He's streaming, and it's cool to see some of the best players in the world. Like that, I think that's always interesting. The content creator versus streamer. Like you see like Kevin Martin, like Jamie Staples. Some of these guys have kind of come up like streaming, then actually like put a lot of work into their play. And then you see some guys that are like great players starting to stream now and content, right? It's like kind of gets balanced, where it's rare to have like a world class player that also puts in time streaming. You know what I mean? And it's kind of hard if you're like, it's hard to like calibrate it. You know what I mean? Like if you've been a content creator, you spend so much time on content to like actually study also and get better. It's hard. If you're like crushing poker, it's like you think, do I want it? Because it's not for everyone. Streaming is a lot of work. It's very tiring to stream 6, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, talking through your hands, getting punched in the face, losing, taking a beat, getting crushed all day, and just like putting a smile on and chatting to everyone like everything's great. So like that also is a skill in itself. So I think it's very unique when you find someone who does both that very well. So it's great to see some of these absolute crusher tournament players start streaming now.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of streaming and content creation, how did you first decide to go about getting into the space, Jeff?
We see a queen, king, ace, king here. Pretty boring flop. Ace, king, gonna just have the lock on this hand. Shouldn't get too out of line. I saw Jason Somerville in 2015. I believe, or 14. He was streaming. Actually, I had signed a deal with Ultimate Poker. If you remember, it was like the Nevada first ever poker. It might be before you were even playing poker aware. There was like a thing called Ultimate Poker, like a UFC basically. I think they started a poker site in Nevada. They got a license. Jason Somerville was one of the people signed. I think Antonio Esfandiari. I came on as well. And then I saw Jason like he was running around, filming stuff, doing whatever. We had a couple meetings. I saw him there. And then I heard he streams on Twitch, and I looked, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, talking, getting to like play poker, engage with your fans and stuff, and do like engage and build that. I was like, man, I'd love to do that. I have, that sounds fun. And then maybe like 6 months later, I came up with this name, Poker Flow Show, and I was like, started doing it. And then I think 2015 is when I really got into it. And then it was a lot of grinding because you couldn't play from the States. I was literally just met my wife at Burning Man, and like I was like, oh yeah, it's like great. We're gonna like travel around and play, but it's a lot. Like it's a lot of like going to a hotel, put up the laptop, shitty internet, not lace chair, not good setup, and like literally streaming poker for a while. So it was like it was a real grind back in, this was like 2015, 16, 17. That's when I streamed a lot, was back then. And but I saw Somerville originally do it, and that's what got me into it. Thought it was pretty cool to do. But yeah, it's crazy, right? It would be awesome to be in the States. Like I would love to stream here and play on GG and be in my house and just like turn it on, have a camera, have my monitors, and everything's comfortable. But like I'll tell you, I could have wrote it would have been an interesting show. Like if there was like good cameras and like to fall around, like there was like real tilt. Like it was a lot to go through and like unpack your stuff and set up monitors and hotels, and like sometimes the internet wouldn't even work or would cut out, and you're in an uncomfortable chair, or your camera breaks, or your mic isn't working, and like real like crazy stuff. Like it was a real process for a long time. Yeah. So yeah. And then kids, right? Now I'm 37. It's kind of funny to think about like streaming. Like I can't even imagine streaming now. Like a 37-year-old with 2 kids. I think it'd be like, I mean, it might be, it's actually out of line. I think that's too.
Yeah. 2 boys running around screaming daddy while you're like, no.
Yeah. It's one thing to have a baby, like a 1-year-old, but like when you have a 5-year-old, like he's not going to be okay with you just sitting there and playing on a computer. So that's out the doors. We see Jack 10 actually hit a gin card, and I mean Vusten basically Samuel with effectively the nuts here. I mean, this is such a high up in his range. Just calls, 5 comes, but I think let's see, is he just does call. I like that, and I wonder if Jack 10 hits the turn. I guess instinct would think he goes for value here, right? He turned top pair, likely a 7, maybe a 3, but there's some world where he checks back here. I don't know. I think shoving makes more sense though.
Yeah, Jack 10, decent kicker.
Yeah, snap call. I mean, just knows. The 5, yeah, it's a few 5s in there, but he's not really betting probably 5x on the turn, right? So he's got effectively the nuts, would lose to somehow like queens or somehow get coolered. But I didn't even see it. The action pre might have just been, that wouldn't even be a possibility. So nice hand. Samuel now 4.3 million. He's in second. He is gonna, looks like call ace 4 min raise, and now Vladimir with ace 3 off. This is one of those ones where you don't really want to flat, right? Come in third, you're dominated. It's like it's hard to play. He does. I thought he might actually fold or even squeeze it, but interesting. Tough spot. That's something I've noticed too. The big blind plays a lot tighter multi-way. Just like so many hands, it's tough to play. Like, what are you looking for there? An ace high flop, like going to be in a lot of trouble. You can hit the wheel, you can hit 2 pair, you can flop 3 clubs, but just a hard hand to play as ace 4 now. Samuel's certainly not going to go anywhere with 7s on the queen 5. Going to come in and call in pretty good shape. Gut shot picks up from Smilovich. See if he wants to continuation. He's got the ace 4. 5x may not go anywhere. There are some spade draws. He has the key spade. Let's see if he turns his hand into a bluff or just decides that. It's kind of a weird one, right? There's not much you're beating. You got called in the flop. Flush comes in. You have the nut spade though. Board's paired. I'm curious what he does if check 2 here, and there could be a blocker bet by Samuel as well. Check. Okay, so again, interesting to recognize when you have a key blocker. Also, if you have showdown value, also the board is paired, so it's like not necessarily, the nut flush isn't the same anyway, and he does check back and kind of gave up, just figured that his opponent had a hand that wasn't going to want to fold. So interesting there from Smavic. Again, so much of it is not always putting the foot on the gas. I think that sometimes people get misled by, I'm chip leader, I have to bluff, I need to put pressure, or this guy Vladimir is short, let me just like put the foot down. But like there's definitely times where the responsibility or the best play is to just sort of sit back. You don't have to always try to win every hand or be too aggressive here. So very This is interesting. If Smilovic's going to go wire to wire and just take this down, I think this has been an impressive chip leader display today. I got to give him a lot of credit. He's really just been in control the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. Something I'm not used to considering as someone who doesn't play tournaments is just like with a third person in there with a much shorter stack. Um, it does make me wonder like how that affects the other two players' strategy.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, again, big pay jumps between third and second here. You're talking about $55,000 roughly between third and second, and a lot to play for in terms of buy-ins, 5.5 buy-ins. Yeah, this is anyone's game, but the favorite, Smilovic, definitely the favorite right now. Gonna limp in 6-7, 6-10, check back.
When's the last time you played a tournament, Jeff?
I went to the Bahamas. I went down there in December, was there for the WSOP. It was great. Played like 5 events, and they had that 25K 10 mil was 13 million they got. It was like 500 something people in a 25K, so that was cool. Cashed that, and actually a guest on the show, young guy Samu, he took it down like for like 2.6 million, and he won
Oh,
the
wow.
GGMillion too. A really good player from Austria took that event down, and it was a lot of fun. The main, I think 15 million main got right on the guarantee too. It was great. I think they're going to try to do it again, I believe, this year in Bahamas and WSOP for there. They did at the Atlantis where the PCA used to be.
Yeah, it seems like it's always a good time just getting down there, getting some sun, playing some cards. I hear some people complain about just like getting money in and out, primarily out. Um, do they let players wire money? What's what are the
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I got to give a shout to Luxon, like Coinrivit.
uh-huh.
That's like most people use that now, and it's super easy. And the WSOP and GG they have an amazing app now where you can, like, with crypto, you can literally register from your phone and like
Oh
have
wow.
money in count. Like, so you don't even have to go register. You can like click a button and register.
Oh,
If you have funding in your account, or you do at the start of the tournament, you can literally go, like, there's times I come from the room, hit register, and they give your seat, draw your thing, and you just go to the table. It's really amazing. I think this year at the WSOP they'll have a version of that. And look at this, King 7, Queen 9, gonna go for the bluff, and King 7. What a assert of the situation. Just goes for it, gets the fold. Queen 9 actually improved and had the best hand. So nice play from Vladimir there. That was interesting hand. But yeah, they have this new, I think it's going to help a lot, right? At the WSOP, that's sometimes people, the experience of registration, cashing in and out, all that is so important. And like, they're really figuring it out with technology now.
yeah. Yeah, there's been so many times where I've walked past just like a line that wraps around multiple corners.
Yeah.
And it-
Yeah, think about if you're there and you're like, do I play a cash game, or there's a turbo? Maybe I'd hop in the hold'em, but like, yeah, I don't want to wait 45 minutes or have to like figure out how to fund it. If you literally have a WSOP card and you have money on there, and you can just literally click register and walk in the room and sit at a table, like that is or for rebuys, right? There's just so much like the tilt of like, oh, okay, I'm gonna play, and if I rebuy, I have to go back. It's like, all right, if I can just like click rebuy and be right in again. I
yeah.
mean, I think it's gonna be record fields this year at the WSOP. I really do. Oh, let me get a free roll. That's right. I almost forgot. I've been 3-handed here for a little keyword. Going to be GGPoker space Lynne space your insert GGPoker username. That's going to be for $50 or $100. It'll be 50 if Smilovic wins. It'll be 100 if Samuel or Vladimir wins. That's a good point. Thank you very much. So in the chat there from Wild Pleasures. Interesting username. Good luck to you. GGPoker username. All right, so there it is. Keyword GGPoker space Lynne space GG. Well, space enter your GGPoker username. If you're in a jurisdiction you don't have GGPoker, gift it to a friend, split it with a friend. I'm sure you know someone that can play GGPoker. So that is where we're at, and this is a giveaway time. And the tweet Jeff Gross Poker pinned can retweet that and get involved for a $50 cash giveaway. See Lynn there on already. A lot of you have done that. Good luck there as well. Who's impressed you today, Lynn? Who is sort of what any hands, any moments, any players that stand out?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of the remaining players have impressed me. Shout out to Bert, obviously, as well, who, yeah, no longer in here.
Yep.
But I really like the bluff with King Deuce. You know, has a flush draw. Because overcard hitting a king is going to be good sometimes for sure.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, I like seeing players make moves and get after it. Earlier, I made a comment about how it seems like like people aren't really stepping like out of line, but then like seeing like Vladimir pick up pots where he doesn't have the best hand. It's three great players and they definitely deserve to be here. So it's a pleasure to watch them.
Yeah, this is again mentioned in the chat. Paul or Samuel's name is European. It's his famous name from back in
Oh,
the day
I
on
didn't
PokerStars.
know
That's
that. Okay.
yeah,
That
yeah,
name rings a bell. Yeah.
yeah. He is got to put respect on that name. He's definitely done it for a long time and has again some of the just got the pedigree. Just like you got to believe. I'm sure Smilovich too knows obviously of him. They've played poker a long time, been online. So I think, already maybe eyeing up that heads up title, trying to get, let's take a look at GGMillion champion. So in this season, 2024, we've had Matthews won once and Juan Pardo Dominguez has won once. So they're both no longer in. And season 2, we had Bert Stevens won once, Samuel won once, Matthew won once. So what's that? 2 titles for Matthew. And then in the season prior, Bert won. So Bert's won. Bert's won twice. Juan Pardo Dominguez has won once. Matthews won twice. Samuel actually, surprisingly, has only won once, but he doesn't quite play as much. Has 8 final tables last season, and he's just sort of. I got it. I wonder what the total earnings is lifetime. I believe he was number 1, 2, or 3 lifetime earnings for online poker, which says a lot. Up there with like Chris Moorman and Nicholas Ostad and Patrick Leonard. Some of these guys, he's been just sort of always at the top, as you said. Results, right? It's just you can't really argue. He's been there. He's done it. He's done it back in the day. Done it today. And he is looking for another title, as Smilovich actually has not won before. So he would be a first time winner. And Vladimir, I think I was talking about, he also would be, first time winner, has 6 final tables, but we'll see. Ace queen suited here. Nice hand. Jack 10 going to call. Both players miss. Hard to make a pair and hold them, huh, Lynn? I think that's important to understand. Like cash games tournaments, like bluffing is important because you just don't make hands that much. Like it's amazing when you actually make like a flush or a full house. Like it's like you're just it's hard. It's really hard to make a big hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially three-handed. I mean, can't really sit around and wait for hands to come. Yeah, so I remember like just reading like some of the Samuel's hands on the 2+2 forums where it's like the high stakes cash game. So it's cool to see him now playing the biggest tournaments. But I do wonder, like, these names don't really mean a ton to me, but if I were to see like their online screen names, I wonder how many of them would jump out to me as like, oh, like I remember watching this person play 100, 200 like half
Yep.
a decade ago. Yeah.
Yeah, Jack 10. Nice there, realizing he's going to get some folds. Got a good hand to fold. Interesting, Daniel doesn't bet the turn to ace queen suited. It makes sense, though, right? Doesn't want to get blown off. Has a huge hand, a lot of equity. Then he ends up getting he folds on the river. So Jack 10 does get to bluff. Still 7.5 million, still in the lead. And I don't know if I think he's been in the lead the entire
Yeah.
final table from start to finish. And Samuel
Feels like he's had a
challenging
comfortable lead this entire time as well, too.
And just calls a bet there at 8-5. Definitely with some intentions. The Jack randomly does hit his opponent now. And be curious with a diamond. He did float. I would imagine the intention is take away here, although let's see if if he's got other plans. I can't imagine he floats to flop without trying to win it with 8 high. He does have a diamond as well, so he goes for a big bet. Very, very interesting flat here. I mean, like, it's just, again, the future game to understand, like, all right, I'm gonna float, but not just like, all right, I'm gonna try to win with like 150 or 200K bet. He's like, all right, let me go. And he even gets the jack does pair and he takes it down. Very creative hand, very interesting hand. Really, really showing, that's what I was saying. The level at the highest level, it's just like, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make. I love talking about is they think, oh, I lost ace, queen, ace, jack, right? To bust with 12 blinds. But no, like all these other spots, all these other hands where there's spots and you're just picking up chips, like you build chip leads and you're able to take risk, you're able to put pressure. I think that's one of the biggest things that people overlook when they're learning and seeing poker. It's about the luck, but like that's really not ever your last hand. That's like, well, you lose a flip, you get cooler at ace king or whatever, queens to jacks. Oh, I got so unlucky. But what about that? Yeah, did you float with 8-5 off on a king 6-6 when you got bet into to bet pot on the turn when your opponent hits actual showdown value? Like these guys are finding ways to win pots that others aren't, that people aren't even thinking about playing a hand in a way. And that's why poker's great, because you can literally take any hand, any spot, and look at a way to get creative or do something. And that's what we said, why we love the game and why we never know what we're going to get, as the blinds are up 6120K. So we got the giveaway pending. You got to hit the thumbs up. Got to hit the thumbs up to be eligible. Sorry, I think I forgot that. Forgot about the giveaway action today. We got 90 thumbs up right now. And you can enter GGPoker space Lynne space your GGPoker username, and also Twitter, Jeff Gross Poker pin tweet. I'll put that link one more time for you guys. You can enter there. All right. Well, I got my notes today. I definitely have my interesting hands. Ace 10 suited. This is a lot of hand. Not going to be folding. Will he shove or call? I think merit to both. 2.5 million. He calls still 2 million back. Could maybe force some folds from other hands. You also just get to deny equity. If you're cooler, you're cooler. I think that's actually very close too, to just shove or call, I believe. And he did pick aggression. He does pick it up, and things are tightening up a little. 7 million, 3.5, 4.8 wide open here. 6120 blind, still plenty of play, a lot to play for money wise. 197, 252, 323. And we are going to see a winner today. That is what it is about. We got a big show next week for you as well. And yeah, GG Millions. I mean, I got to say the main event is coming. The WSOP, it feels like it wasn't long ago, partly because of the Bahamas. That was in December. So they kind of now are adding a second major stop. But the summers do roll around quick. Vegas blends together for me. I literally, like I said, I went every year from 21 on. It's like you start like blending together with what happened and events, and it's fun. It's definitely a playground. It's definitely a good time to be there. It's so hot though in Vegas in the summer. It really is hot.
Yeah, I missed that one series we had in the fall. That was good.
Yeah,
Let's bring that back.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the summer just works, right, with people on vacation, and it's just more going to be more recreational. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's something to be said about a little better weather.
To be fair though, with Vegas, it's dry heat. You're probably used to the humidity being down there in Miami, but for me, like, humidity is just so rough. I feel sticky and gross, and like I need a shower. So I'll take Vegas heat over.
That's interesting you say that. Because I do. It's split, right? Like it's just like similar preferences. Like I personally know people. People I know well, like, can't stand the Vegas heat, and some people can't stand the Miami heat with the humidity. It really is a completely different pros and cons on the type of atmosphere, and it really is just a completely different preference. I think I prefer. I don't know. I guess I prefer Miami. I don't mind the humidity, but I don't. It doesn't really bother me. It's just like more that it's so hot. Like it's like this UV in the sun, and it's like you want to golf or go out in the day. It's like you're not really just like gonna go out and spend like a lot of time there. The pools. I remember one summer in Vegas, it was so hot. It was like 110 or 20 or
Mhm.
something like the whole time. It was just like crazy. You couldn't even like go outside. But it's been better, I think, right? It's not been quite as bad the last couple of years. But yeah.
Yeah. I will say
Miami, I
my
mean, listen, Miami in the summer is not enjoyable either, or Houston, or like it's not like it's too hot. It's too hot too.
yeah, my skin likes it better, I think, when it's a little bit drier, or I guess no, wetter. Where it's like when it's super dry, like I can like just like breathing hurts the first couple of days before I
I just
climb.
get like my lips get so chapped. I'm so dry. I just like you really got to drink a lot of water. I think that you just got to keep remembering that because you just get like you do get dehydrated. But um, great places. Not complaining. Just hot. It's hot, you know. But those Vegas and Miami, two amazing cities, definitely have their pros and cons. As ace three, queen four again, showing hard to make a pair. Ace three in the lead. Both players with some relevant cards could have some intentions on rivers, and this is a one of those ones like creative players just find ways with gut shots. And again, probably part of the plan is to bluff some diamonds or spades if they hit and he doesn't improve, like so. This might be one with the 8, thinking that he's got a spade. He has a pretty bad hand, right? Queen high on this board,
Yeah,
probably falling through.
that's 4.
Maybe 2/3 pot, something big, a little over half pot. Get some 5x, maybe to fold, or just all right, check. Hey, says, you know what, I don't like it enough. And ace three going to be very happy to show it down. I wasn't sure, maybe because of the 8 paired, right? Maybe on some spades he would shell there. He doesn't, and would have been curious as aces and ace 9. Whew. Is that 10 seconds on the clock or 110 for his chess clock?
I think that's 110.
10. All right.
Yeah.
Still a lot of play left today. Could come into play. Could hit the zeros.
Do you see that often?
Maybe every other time there's someone who hits
Wow.
0. We have seen both players on 0, which is pretty crazy. And there's been, that it does come into play a bit, and you notice it. Players definitely take a while. Look at the ace 9 check back, hit top pair, top kicker, not even putting more chips in. Seems like Smilovich very alert
Hmm.
to potentially a trap, but still, like, it's kind of interesting. I guess just goes into check call formation. King, scary card. Or Smilovich probably thought he's likely good.
Not having a spade might save him some chips, but
I
hard
mean,
to
I
imagine
don't.
checking back flop to
He's a
fold.
super creative player. I mean, I just can't imagine anything else. And that card is absolute nightmare. You're going to see for the first time a shift in the chip lead, because no matter what, right now, he has a nut blocker. There's no like raising or getting bluffed here. He's got top set. Ace 9 has top 2. The spades miss out. He could probably go big here and likely just going to get quickly called. I don't think there's really any other considerations. Can't fold. Raising doesn't make sense. Just calls. Gets shown the bad news. Pretty big cooler run out, and he does say good play, basically saying like, hey, that was just super cooler, like unreal, and almost maybe you could have got more, right? Like I had top 2 and you didn't raise pre, you didn't go
So you
big
think
on the
that was
river.
sarcastic, is what you're saying?
I'm gonna say that's a very like, yeah, that was like a tilting emoji. Good hand, nice
Yeah.
hand. Yeah, I think he's a little frustrated, but at the same time, it's rare to go wire to wire to have no adversity. Still right there, tied for second, 3 left. Valdemir's had quite a ride. Started out, well, I mean, he was out the door. If you don't remember, he loses aces to queens, and then he was all in kings to jacks. Jack flopped, and he needed a heart, running hearts. He needed that heart on the river. He would have been, I believe, out in 8th. So now chip leader 3-handed. Things have definitely shifted.
Yeah, absolutely. He only really came in with what, 15, 16 big blinds. So to see him now chip leading is pretty cool.
Yeah, Voldemir looking for his first title, and here he's going to get the better hand slightly to fold, but essentially, ace 3, ace 4, the low wheel. And yeah,
I really like these chess clocks. Let players decide how they want to use their 15 minutes, but definitely prevents excess tanking.
Yeah, I mean, Vladimir now showing us what it's like. A little bit more fun, a little more maneuverability as the chip leader is going to keep the pressure on. And the 4s to 6s, this starts getting into 61-20 territory again. 6s are a very strong holding here. And also, well, everyone want to be kind of tight. I mean, again, you see the snap fold. 4s, it is a pair, but that's the, we start getting into the call off stuff. It's not fun, right? When you're 50-50 at best.
Yeah,
Jacks, ace, king, 4s. I mean, this is quite a mix and mock-up of hands. I mean, 4 is gonna get out of the way here, but Jacks and ace, king, we're gonna likely see a massive pot. This is gonna be 5. We're gonna see 5 cards, and this is gonna be either Smilovich back into the lead or a massive lead for Vladimir. This is the hand of the day. 7.7 million. 5 cards coming up here. Jacks to ace, king, clean flop. Vladimir from Ukraine fades the turn. He is 86%. 6 outs, 1 to come. Can Daniel find it, or are we going to be down 2 heads up? That is a quick turn of events, and Smilovich going to be out in third. Good game, nice score. I mean, of course, third place, 197. He was chip leader, kind of had a smooth ride until got a little rocky at the end, but there you go. Austria goes out in 4-5 as we are heads up for a nice 48 plus 23. What is that? $71,000 heads up match. Just a good old 70K between friends. Here they go. Samuel and Vladimir playing for it. Lead about 3-1 for Vladimir. So this is again Samuel with the title. See if he can get 2, or Vladimir join the club. GGMillion, very exclusive club, Champions Club here as we are in season 2024 with a number 46 episode, I believe. So this is exciting, and see if we get a match or just a quick ending here as we have a big lead for Vladimir. But the blinds are still reasonable, right? What's he got? Almost 30 blinds, 61-20. So a lot of play. Heads up, things change fast.
And I believe that was my last player. So I believe you have won our bet, Jeff.
You can send me. I'll give you my email for the GG invite for the dinner reservation. We can figure that out coming up. But that's great, right? I invite you on, and now you get to take me to dinner. That's perfect. That's just amazing. This worked out well. I'll be honest with you. I need a spreadsheet for this because I'm a bit of a fish, and I like to think, oh, I'll remember. But like when you do, I've done a lot of shows. I'm definitely a little foggy on certain dinners, who owes who what. But ultimately, you could probably get me to treat. Just if you can't remember and I can't remember, I'll give you the tie. So, but yeah, this was actually this wasn't close. This was like the 2-0. There's not even a heads up sweat right now. So, I think I will remember this one, as you are a very, very much appreciated to come on today. Thank you for the time. We do appreciate you being here. You guys can follow Lynne on Hello, It's Lynne on Twitter, also Instagram. And which are you more active on social media wise?
For poker stuff, definitely Twitter a little bit more. Instagram is more for just my random like fine dining, travel posts, little bits and pieces of my life here and there.
Very cool. Guys, follow along as we get to see if we're going to get a sweat here or just a GG, as we are less than 2 hours in. So again, a little bit faster maybe than normal, but these things, you never know. I've seen crazy runs, switches, deep stack. You get, a double up here, we'd be pretty even, and that could change things as well. Both players here are very talented. I'm impressed with both players. Obviously, Sam, I've been singing his praises. A little less familiar with Vladimir, but yeah, Samuel definitely been here before, right? With the chip deficit, playing for big money for a title, bright lights, money's fanned across there. As you can see, both players' profiles on GG there, pretty cool. On the right, Samuel, 15, almost 16 million in lifetime earnings. That's on GG, mind you. GG is on the newer site. He's been around forever. Think about, start getting into some crazy numbers for online poker earnings. Of course, that's not profit. That's total cashes, but you can see the ranking from 2022 and 2023, very strong. And this year, Vladimir up there, number 5, actually, for the current season on GGMillion. So both players, very impressive. There's a lot of players enter and take part, and they are showing their skill here as one of they are going to win, first or second. And it is now a more lead for Valdemir. You know the computer hand? Do you know some of this stuff like the dead? Do you know in a heads up poker match? Do you know the dead middling hand if you're playing heads up? What the dead, like dead in the middle is?
No, what do you?
So
Yeah.
it's called a computer hand. It's
Okay.
queen seven off. So that is actually like if you have queen eight off, technically it's you're maybe you should be a little ahead of like what the average hand is and go from there. So that is a tournament heads up hand gauge for you at home that are not aware. If you get queen seven, that's a decent start. Anything less, you're a little under the average hand. But queen seven on the dot for Valdemir here as 8-3 has a winning hand if can get to showdown.
I feel like that was a useful tidbit for Ultimate if I ever decide to start firing the pits.
Yeah, I mean there you go. Yeah, that don't get in trouble with it, but that's where you can start as a gauge. 8-3. I mean, he's got showdown. Don't see any reason to bet here. Try to get a better hand to fold unless he's maybe even somehow try to get called by ace high. I'm surprised he's betting, but that might be I wonder if that's value. I don't know. I'm actually curious on that bet there. He did have the best hand. Does win as ace six king four. Just call it. I've seen Samuel sort of pass spots that are close to raise with modest hands. I think he really does feel very confident in his post flop abilities. Takes down variance a little bit with some spots as ace six again heads up, pretty strong hand.
Yeah, always cool to see better players like navigate smaller stacks and how they avoid putting many chips in reflop.
Gonna pick the winner on Twitter here very soon. Also, we'll announce the let's see, we're gonna have two winners. $50 tweet on my Twitter pinned, and then we will pick a winner of the 50, or I'm sorry, it's 100. It's 100 locked because Lynne is no longer participating in the challenge of the draft. So yeah, it'll be $100 GG tournament ticket for you guys today. That's what you're typing in. GGPoker space Lynne space your GGPoker username. King 4 a6 a6 to a river tightens the gap a little. Again, double once and he's the chip leader, so it's pretty wide open.
What's been the most memorable heads up match that you've commentated on the show, Jeff?
It was the one where it might have been like Oli Shemian. I think Brian was the guest. It was a long time ago. It was for a big one, and I think both are the clocks were basically out, and it was just some like huge names, from not just online players but guys that play online, the highest stakes household names. And I think it was I don't want to mistake who he was playing, but I think he won, and it's another really good player, and they were battling, and the clock was out, and it was back and forth. It was like $1 million plus to first, and that one stood out for me. It was probably like season one. That was like a year and a half ago. So I'd have to go back and look at who was heads up, but that was just like fun to watch, right? The no clock, huge money up top, and Rast and I had a good time with that. That was I'm gonna forget who was heads up. I think Roman, who just won the Triton Million, he also won $1 million GG, I think, as well. It was like a really good. There's been some epic lineups, right, with like some of the bigger names in the game that play each week. So it's fun. They blend together. I'll be honest. Like there's so many where there's not literally, I don't have like that's my first, second, third. It's just like they're really enjoyable, and a lot of time I'm familiar with the player, pretty know them well, or know of them, or they've been around for 20 years, and it's like cool to see like Samuel play, where I don't really get to see him play as much, and I don't think he plays as much live. Like he'll go to some stops, but yeah, it's fun to watch here. Ace 3 has a decision. Wow.
Oh, wow. That was a lot.
This is like, again, super unconventional line. Like, oh, this is pretty much you're thinking call or not. And then you get the 7 to fold. I mean, that is a special hand too. Like that was not even, again, when you're not even thinking about that, like, which I wasn't. I was like, oh, is he gonna call?
I wasn't either.
That's a complete, like, that shows you some. It's a big, very interesting play there.
Yeah, pretty cool to look at the board, decide that you don't think your opponent has a full house too often, and that it's a spot where you can get either hands that you beat or hands that you're chopping with to fold.
Wow.
So while we're watching these two great battle heads up. What are like, do you have like one memorable hand, yeah, whether it's online or live, where that hand really stands out to you, either because of how you played it or just because of the size of the pot, stakes?
And did me personally, I played?
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, I mean, there's definitely some like you always remember the hands sort of you lose, or there were like there was what the
Yeah.
one hand I remember the most was heads up for a bracelet where it was just it was pretty standard. Just it was ace jack to king 10, but I didn't win it. In terms of like a cool hand, like memorable on Twitch, I checked back a full house with jack 10
Mhm.
on jack 10 or something with no higher card. Like honestly, it's so ridiculous. It's like it's not even a real hand. And I was like, this guy has a straight flush. I was just like,
Oh,
sure,
wow.
he had a straight flush. So
That's
like,
incredible.
but yeah, no, because like it's so bad that it's like even like to be right, it's even like too crazy. But like imagine the 99.9 he doesn't, right? Like so I checked back. I'll never forget that. I have it on my Instagram somewhere. I'll find it actually because it's like from years ago. But that was like the most bizarre. I don't know why. Like I just like really thought he did. It wasn't even like it wasn't like a bubble or some crazy tournament. It was like a 500 rebuy or something, or 500 knockout, I think it was. And I just remember this specific hand stand out for me for like just like voodoo, like crazy, like doesn't make any sense, can't even explain why, but yeah.
Yeah, that's
I have
pretty.
that clip. Like that's a real hand. I don't even know if it's good or bad, right? Like it's like you're literally that's so bad. Like to make a habit of that would be really expensive and not the right thing to do. So, but
Yeah.
what about you?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's always it's much easier to remember the hands that we've lost. Um, yeah, so the hand that where I just decided to back four bet jam Queen 10 versus Jeremy and Dwan. That one obviously stands out a bit.
I
Um,
think I remember this. This was on High Stakes Poker.
yeah, it was on high stakes
I
poker.
remember
Yeah.
this hand.
Speaking of a game selection, yeah, definitely did not realize the shark cage I was stepping into there. Uh, I had a hand. There was a WPT uh like televised cash game where I had a big hand versus Bill Perkins, and I think he had a combo draw, and I just needed to fade two
Wow, I
streets.
was thinking he was going to go for it, and he did. And this is Jack 8. This is just the nut. He played it. He's got top pair, checks in the top two, clicks it over, and that is now a shift. We got 9.5 to 5.8. Samuel in the lead. So whoa, he went for it and got shown the bad news. So sorry, continue. Bill Perkins cash game. This sounds already a good start. I like it. It's gonna be
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, it was just a really fun game, and then I remember, like, I really wanted to win because there was a Hublot watch at stake, and then also 4 baccarat, like, whiskey glasses, and I was like, "Well, I don't have any glassware right now. I just got an apartment in Vegas, needed some glassware," and yeah, that hand was probably like a 200K pot or so, so that was pretty memorable. Was very proud to take home those baccarat glasses, and I
That's
very
awesome.
quickly sold the watch. Did not keep a bulky steel men's watch. Yeah.
That's yeah, no, I mean it is funny how that works with the bias of like remembering the hands you lose or get bad beat, but then you put on bad beats or whatever, and it's just so true. You remember you to stand out the ones where you get unlucky. I have the actual most interesting and most memorable pot. See 7-8 deuce 10. We don't have much going on here. Was in the Bahamas in 2019. I played in a private cash game there, and Rob Young, we got it. We were playing. I think it was a big game. It was 500 1K, maybe
Mhm.
with straddles or 5-5 with the 1K straddle, but it's like I opened to 3,000 under the gun. Rob called 3,000 with kings, and I made it like 20K with
Mhm.
aces.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
he like back jammed all in. He just like ripped it after he flatted 3K. I played with him once before, but we barely knew each other. And
Mhm.
I called, I have aces, he has kings. It was like it's like it was one of the bigger pots. It was like 330,000. I think he had like 100. It was like I literally made 20 and he just jammed for whatever, and he had me covered. So and then I'm like, hey, can we run it twice? It's 2019 January. I've got my firstborn son, and coming in April and early, and I'm like, let's run it twice, please. And he's like, no, one time. And he's always once. He's always once, which I respect that, right?
Yeah.
Like
Me
you
too.
just like you start doing twice or sometimes yes, no. And then we did it one time, and he made quad kings, flop to king, river to king. So that hurt. but then I ended up like doing a deal with him, and we met and became close. And like two of my biggest, he got me into party poker. We did some Twitch stuff, and then whatever. I've done other business with him and stuff, and it's been the best thing that ever happened to me. But in the moment, I was like, wow, it's like the worst feeling ever. And just it's like it's like I got aces. Like you won't let me run twice and I lose. Like it took quads. He made quads, not just like beat me. It was just so on the second run, right? I would have been in good shape considering he made quads, but. That was probably like the most impactful hand in my life that was like bad, but worked out. You know what I mean? Where it was like, it felt like the worst thing ever, but it was like, it kind of worked out. But yeah, same thing. I'm sure I've gotten lucky on some hands in my life, but that was one that did not go my way. And Samuel now is getting, I mean, I think he might just rip it here, right? This is fives, I guess, unless he folds. I don't think he's going to, I doubt, I guess he could call. He's got all options on the table. Samuel's going to show us the right decision. I can assure you, he knows what to do off this stack size, off his opponent. He does jam, and he is going to get the fold, which is also one of the benefits of jamming, because you put out some chips and you get a flip to fold, or even there, if he flats, gets cute, comes 6-6 or 6-4, and you get it in, and the guy actually would have just folded. So now he extends his lead. He now is with the 2.5 to 1 chip lead, and he is in control.
Yeah, I always feel pretty dumb when I get shown a winning hand when I could have just re-raised pre-flop and taken the pot down.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, some hands obviously trapping, some hands they have merit to play aggressively because of denying equity or the fold equity. So it's always interesting. Of course, you look like a genius when things work out. When you don't, like here, 4 deuce just speed and jack 8 bottom pair. He's just leading out, and this is wonder if this would be a one and done. Probably. I mean, 4 deuces or some heart X like random hearts he's going to bend. I mean, Vladimir is just thinking here, what has he got? What does he have? I call ace pairs, makes the jack a little stronger. I'm curious, can Samuel, does he have another bet? It doesn't maybe have to be big. You could bet like 750, or likely give up with the no equity turn. Could just be dead. And the thing is, does a king fold here? Does a jack fold here? This is all the questions that we're going to ask. And let's see, does Samuel want to put on a show? He's got the bright lights, got the money spread. He's got a title already, 16 million, and he is going to check. Not necessarily white flag, right? If Vladimir checks back, maybe there's a world where he could shove some rivers, a heart, potentially. I don't know. But Vladimir does check back. No heart, no real storyline. Like maybe Samuel bluffs this time. We saw the king, queen diamonds. Vladimir shove it in. Got called before. Does Sam go for it? Or is he just content with the 9.5 stack? Say, hey, you're going to get this one. But he does have one of the tick boxes for a bluff. He has basically the worst possible hand. And white flag, Jack going to check back comfortably and tighten up the gap here a little bit. Again, thanks for watching, everyone. Going to announce the winner of the giveaway here very soon. It will be $100 ticket, not 50. Also, Twitter. We'll cue that up. Jeff Gross Poker Twitter. I'll give that link one more time for you guys. Good luck, everyone, on the 2 giveaways today. Been a fun show.
Seeing a lot of light 3 bets here in heads up. It's cool watching these 2 players play. 6-3 off, 3 deuce suited. There's that saying in many of the games I play, and the cards play themselves. Here, the cards are absolutely not playing themselves. Players are very much showing us what they can do with whatever they're holding us. Jeff, have you played much heads up, either in cash games or tournaments?
Well, the answer would be I wish more in tournaments, right? It'd be nice to be heads up more often. So I've played some, but for cash games, like I don't really, it's not like I'm playing, don't really go and battle too much heads up. Once in a while with friends we'll play some heads up cash, but yeah, I'm not as much as I'd like. I think that's also one of those things. If you're going to be a serious tournament player, it's good to have that, right? Because like these look at here, it's a lot of money. You get in a few spots a year where you're playing in a big tournament or a main event, and the difference between first and second is huge, or give you position to make some better deal making if someone knows if you are making a deal, and people know like you're a very tough heads up player. So Yeah, I think that's a very important thing if you're playing a lot of tournaments to have, is king 9 is the decision here. Decent bluff catcher as well, right? Like, you got the king. It's like, okay, my opponent does have an ace. Probably not going to bet a king. So now does he have an ace? He doesn't have a heart in his hand. So I like calling here, and he does call. And Vladimir is now short 3-2. He went for it. He got shown the bad news, 12.5 million to 2.5 million. And there is a likely chance that Samuel will be a repeat winner. It's not over yet, but he is in position to do so. Gonna go ahead and announce the winner here. Let me get this. And this is 4-7 queen 9. Let me just see. I'm gonna get the winner here. It's gonna be Musa TB. Funk Hauser is your screen name. Good luck on that $100 ticket you're gonna win. I'm gonna drop that in. That is because we did a draft, and that was my picks are now heads up. So that is over. It's $100, not a $50 ticket. And that is, let's see if it's still there. $100. And queen 9 bluffing, is it going to work, or is Samuel going to stick? I mean, he's got a little extra. He's got a little backup, right? He's open-ended. So he does call. Same kind of principle where he doesn't have a diamond. He has a 7. He blocks a 7-8, 7-3 for value. He's got things working, and will Vladimir pull the trigger? Get a little more scared when you get hero called, right? Can he follow through again? Similar thing. He's got one of the worst hands he's going to have here. And hey, sometimes you got to wave the flag. He just said, that's enough. This guy's scary. He's calling. He's making big folds. He's making big calls. Let me just move to the next hand. And right now, Queen Jack to Jacks. This feels sort of like could be it, right? 71 for maybe a limp even off these stack depths. He does it. Savage. Going to get his opponent to step out likely here. I mean, this is a hand you could argue to check back. He does actually go for the check back, which I wasn't sure, but makes a bit of sense. And Jacks, though, he really just has a plan here. And this is going to likely get met with a call, right? Queen Jack has a spade as well. Interesting card, interesting backdoors, interesting bluff situation. Also just going to have the best hand sometimes. There's going to be some light limps. Could raise, could call. Does just call. And now it is a spot where, again, you see like, oh, the ace comes, but you can kind of discount that, right? You would think Vladimir off his stack, if he has an ace X, he's going to raise. So like in Samuel's mind, he's almost got the nuts here. And, honestly, Vladimir, this is a bit frustrating because you start thinking what my opponent has. Your hand is decent. It's one of your stronger check back hands, and you have a gut shot. And you also, if you hit a spade, you could potentially bluff a spade and try to get like a 7 or a 10 to fold. And he is going to go ahead and call. I don't think his plan was only for a king. Maybe he figures a queen or jack is good. And now will he bluff all in? This is like a weird one though, right? Like you're not beating a 7 or a 10. He does go for it. So he's got a plan. And Jacks, is he going to call? Lynn, yes, no, maybe?
I mean, he's already gotten called twice. Yes. Seems like he's getting decent odds.
He is. It's weird, right? Like it's a weird spot. You limp in. I think he's going to call too. I just think he's going to call. I think like you start thinking about the hands. Like does he get to have a suited hand, and maybe would check raise even a suited hand because thinking his opponent wouldn't limp a lot of ace X's. So like I think if he thinks about it, and also worst case, he's still got 11 million. He's still, it would be like 11 to 5 or what 3, 5, like 4 points. So like I don't know. Like yeah, he does. That's it. He sorted out. My man just got it like a Rubik's Cube all day, was figuring it out, made big folds, made big calls. There's your winner, Samuel on the river with jacks, limps in, sets the trap, opponent goes for it, and that is his second win on the GG Millions. Lynn, congrats to Samuel. Tell me your thoughts today, takeaways.
Yeah, I mean, it's just everyone played so well from my perspective, and obviously, like with Queen Jack, it sucks to run into jacks there, but like check call lead to me looks really strong. So yeah, it's just been an absolute pleasure watching all these great players play, and I've definitely learned a few moves.
Well, again, we appreciate the time. I appreciate the dinner for 4 with our significant others. That is great news. And at home, I hope you enjoyed the Twitter giveaway. Again, $100 giveaway from here, 50 for Twitter. I appreciate every one of you every week. GG Millions Tuesday, now with daylight savings, 2:45. That's episode 46 in the books. And next week we'll have big names, big guests, big prizes. That is just what we bring at the GG Millions. And Lynne, for her, please give her a follow. Hello, it's Lynne. Twitter, Instagram, and now becoming a commentary expert. She just did some high stakes cash game. Now she's doing tournaments, and she's gonna keep an eye out for her. We'll always rooting for you and enjoy to watch you play in the high stakes cash games. And we'll see you again if you will be so kind to be back on. That would be awesome. And I'm sure I'll see you in Vegas, and I'll definitely be looking you up for the dinner. So I appreciate it.
Sounds good. See you soon.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.